God, there's so much has happened since the last time I've been on here.
Nothing has happened. What are you talking about?
In my personal life, I went to a great Broadway show in New York.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that maybe later.
It was crazy, actually. It was about Roald Dahl, giant, insane.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
Was there...
What'd you say?
I know all about Roald Dahl. There's peaches, there's candy factories.
And anti-Semitism.
And yeah, lots of anti-Semitism.
Streets are home. Yes. Yes, this is exactly how we
This is how I got to feel all of those times. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself.
Building, yes.
It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. But this is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Victorious Tez?
You just told him, buddy. Oh, my God. I can feel it. I'm getting misty-eyed just thinking about it. What a great Sunday was so beautiful.
Wasn't even really Sunday. You were already champion.
Sunday was, but no, that when you see the trophy come out at Crystal Palace, and it's just it was just joyous. And we get to do it all again this weekend. It's crazy. We get to do it. Try to do it all again this weekend against
you have a chance to do it again. Let's say.
I feel confident at this point.
What are we talking about? We're talking about how Everton gave Arsenal the win for the league. We do get credit for that, right?
Yeah.
We could have actually done it sooner if we'd actually kept our lead against City.
Yes.
Then you would have won a whole week earlier. So sorry about that.
It's okay.
But
it's all right.
By pulling the draw with City, we did in fact cause the Gunners to win the league. So congratulations!
It was this was just a really good sports journey, and some of my closest friends, and specifically for the English Premier League and just I think European football. I mean, and worldwide football in general in the United States, specifically around the league. No, around the leagues, right? That whole and I really would credit it really for NBC Sports Network when they initially get that package, because before you could get it, but it's you're getting up early, you're hoping that the bar has Sky Sports, it wasn't accessible, and it was just it's been really awesome to kind of grow in that and be at the lucky bars and the drafting tables and the community around that. People were coming in from we had a really good time on Sunday as just a group of people. There were jokes made from folks to me that they were this is trying to solve what is it called, the male loneliness epidemic.
Yeah, right.
It's this huge
male loneliness epidemic.
It's not
sports. Watch sports. You'll find plenty of friends.
Yeah, but and this team, right? Obviously, Mikel Arteta, and he deserves
former Everton great Mikel Arteta.
Yes.
That's right.
That's what
got to say his whole name.
Whole name. Just the squad that's built and the folks that come out the academy and the style of play. I mean, it was the corners over the last 2 years, and I just not it's this and ending up second place. What was that? 3 years, maybe 4 years in a row.
You held the title of the Bottlers for I don't know, the longest time. I think he set a record for the most second place finishes in
to that fucking wanker. Tell him to go some fucking place as well too. Like it doesn't like even that like it was good and to lose to City and to still have the resolve to be like we can still do this. And I don't even say we with sports like this, but like Arsenal and Nationals are still like those are the two teams that still have me in this week. I could wax. We could do a whole separate show on this.
Well,
here,
so no. The real question is, how do you feel? Because so much of I mean, over the years that we've been friends, right?
Yeah.
Your identity, and I think this is true of many Gunners fans, is tied to this. There's no hope. This sort of like. Every time anybody says anything positive about Arsenal, you're always like, yeah, but we'll find a way to blow it. Like every one of my friends that are Arsenal supporters, that is how they feel.
I had to even correct that on Sunday because folks were just bringing up like, again, and I probably just kind of did that as well, but bringing up kind of just like the dark ages. And I'm like, hey, right now that's done. Like right at this point, that is over with. Like we have won the Premier League and we're in the friggin' Champions League final. Like that's like it doesn't really get any bigger than that. Like those
would have won the FA. It would
maybe trying to go for those crazy like the triples,
but you're on the edge of a double. I mean,
double is insane.
It's doable, and So what is your identity now?
No, it's champions. What the hell? That's what it is.
Do you know how to behave as a champion?
Yes, it's clear as day because we are now champions. Like they've already shown that work. And
do you? I don't mean them. I mean you personally.
Personally, yeah. So I'm not far off. Again, it's getting.
You remember when the Nats won? I
remember the Nats won. Yeah, like so. I'm not far off from that. We still have the Mystics get there. Like there's been championships around here,
but like.
This one is a little different. I think this one is,
Okay, as somebody who has experience being an obnoxious champion, right? This is a thing that Michigan fans have gotten good at in the last several years. Do you know how to obnoxiously insert Arsenal into conversations or whatever?
No, I don't. It's been so easy getting dressed the last few days because I just go in and grab whatever new Arsenal kit. Just to walk in the streets because some people, clearly the people who are like happy about it will like say something, but then you'll just see people who just scowling because you know that like they're either a City fan or they're Liverpool or like
there are no real Tottenham fans. Don't give me that.
No, but I mean,
if they're City fans, they became City fans less than 5 years ago. That's
maybe 10,
okay, maybe 7 or 8.
I don't like at this point. It's like I just need to wear and then I just need to wear the kit, and then we'll get the actual champion kit for the Premier League. With the goal on it, and hopefully there's a Champions League kit for the winner of that. That is what the Saturday will be. Saturday's going to be very intense because PSG they're going to try to go out and
they're very good.
They're really good. They're going
really good.
They're going for back to back,
and they have an incredible team.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm rooting for you.
I think I've seen people comment that Arsenal, we haven't seen them doing any training or anything like that, and I'm kind of like, at this point. No, like, they know what needs to be done to go out there. And some might credit like them taking days off over the last few weeks of them playing a lot better and just like taking the pressure off. So, and the pressure is off again. They're Premier League champions. Like I'm very excited.
So there you go. We needed to address this.
A whole 10 minutes, a whole intro.
You look.
Oh, it's so good. Because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting.
You weren't expecting.
I wasn't expecting that to come on, and as soon as I heard it, like the smile on my face, it just came on my face. I was like, "Oh yeah, that did happen." And again, Saturday we
had the worst time to have a week off because so many things.
Yes.
Usually when we're off, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
But this week that we were off, a lot of stuff happened that we would have wanted to talk about, including you're a win. We could go on for soccer for days. I do just want to like toss out there this question that I think is kind of hanging over everybody is with Pep leaving and City not winning, will the league finally come down on them for all of their financial iffy dealings, let's say? And if they do, you know, what does that really mean? So just like, let's see what that looks like. Stay tuned to that. There's not necessarily an off season in soccer. Obviously, we're going into the World Cup, but
there's definitely no off season.
Yeah, but as far as like what's going on in Premier League, that there is this gap, right? But it isn't really a gap because there aside from the actual soccer that's happening, right? There's World Cup soccer. There's going to be all that stuff, right? There's also this like what's going on with the rules, what's going on with offsides and VAR, and then also what's going on.
I love VAR.
I'm sure you do. But what's going to happen with City, and then what's going to happen with some of these coaching vacancies and all of that stuff. So there's a lot to watch. It's an exciting offseason.
And I think, again, with the World Cup, it'll be interesting because there'll be a slow start to the season. And I think it could be wide open because a lot of players will need to rest. So it'll be interesting to see who is actually in a lot of these squads they're starting.
Which clubs are able to prioritize getting off to a quick start and winning in an environment where a lot of the top talent is damn near exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, Saka, Rice. Like, I'm just thinking of all the players who are going to be playing.
Think of how many of your team are on national teams.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly.
It's a fair amount, and
everybody.
But you're not the only one, right? Liverpool's got most of the Dutch national team on their squad. You know, we've got Jordy to deal with, and Seamus is playing for Ireland, so. But yeah,
we're heavy England squad, so we'll see. We'll probably be out.
You have a lot of the England squad, which is what should be the England squad. That's a whole nother. Yeah. I'm sure you have thoughts on that. The Germans have hijacked your team, sir.
Hey, look,
they finally figured out how to win that war that they keep losing over and over. Okay,
all right.
So there you go. That's soccer chat. Now we're going to do the actual show. So this week is a welcome to Chip Chat. It's a special edition of Chip Chat.
Welcome 10 minutes, 15 minutes later.
Because we're going to talk to our favorite baseball nut, Dan Formosa. He's back with us. He was supposed to be with us a few weeks ago, and then I had an emergency, so I had to cancel. So that's my bad. And Dan is a phenomenal person for still fitting us into his schedule. So that's great.
Very thankful.
And Trump is maybe escalating the war, maybe not. We're either like about to have an end or the end. It's something's gonna happen or not.
It's a silly
We've been
timeline.
Here in this exact spot for like weeks. So, you know, stay tuned. We don't know. It might be starting a new war in Cuba. That's going on. That's pretty good. Or he's sleeping. Who knows? I mean, he's just doing all kinds of stuff. The YOLO caucus is forming in Congress. We're going to talk about that.
I have no idea who those folks are.
Oh, you know who they are.
I know who they are.
And then also, the January 6th guys are getting paid. So you have thoughts. That's your whole test talk. I wrote it for you.
I know. It's just someone at the again, and it was not a white person who said this, so we'll just take that out. But someone was like, yeah, and they're getting reparations. And I said, no, it is not that. It is not that. It's a slush fund.
It is what they are calling it.
They can call it.
Yeah.
But they weren't wrong.
They're getting the legal term would be reparations.
It is not that. They were not wronged.
40 acres and a mule.
Jesus.
See what they get. Yeah.
All right.
Just we'll talk about that. So anyway, we got a lot. There's headlines, there's all kinds of stuff. This is a big show. Big show. It's going to be on time. We promise.
I know. So, it's a short show.
Short show. All right. So
11:00. No, that's what am I talking about? 11:00.
Do you have a word?
11:35. We'll put that out there.
That's what you're putting out there.
11:35 p.m.
Is that one of your book titles? All right. What's do you have a word? Are you ready?
Do I have a word? Do I have a word? Yeah, I have a word.
Okay. I've got a word.
Do I have, yes, I think I think
You're
I have a
thinking about
word.
it.
I think
It's
I
too
have
many
a word.
things.
It's too many things.
Okay. So sit back, grab some
Football.
It's strikeout time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I am your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
All right, so now it's time for the headlines. Now, the last time we did the headlines, Tez was on assignment, so Brian had to fill in for him.
Oh my God, yes.
And Brian got to do some excellent headlines. So
oh God, hold on. I don't want to lose my job here.
No, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I haven't read these. So we'll see.
Have.
No, I haven't.
Okay, sure you have.
I don't know how to read. Thanks for exposing that. All right. So as tradition dictates, Tez gets to go first.
Okay. Did we this? All right. After kids got done with looks maxing, where they would intentionally break facial bones to try to look more manly, they have moved on to balls maxing, where they use saline injections to try to make their balls gigantic. The next trend doesn't matter. Everything is over at this point.
That is correct. All that's true, by the way. As the war in Iran continues, Trump tweeted a series of AI bomb images with messages on them. A source inside the Pentagon said, "Why didn't we think of that?" He's taking it very seriously.
Very, very seriously. The meme war, which is supposed to be something that plays out like
nope.
Don't. Anyways, Trump deployed the U.S. Navy to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, or as Iran has been calling it, Monday.
Yes,
every Monday.
The Navy has so far turned away about a dozen ships by playing the Village People anthem in the Navy at intense volumes, causing Trump to dance profusely. He loves the Village People.
He does love it. Didn't Xi Jinping greet him with that or something?
Yeah,
I feel like they were playing that over there. Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know. Okay.
I wonder if they're going to play the State Fair since Milli Vanilli's out now too.
Oh God, State Fair. I forgot. Well, it's not called that.
Dumbest
it's
fucking thing in the entire world. Okay, go ahead.
I'm getting out of here. All right, I'm getting out of here for that foolishness.
Yeah, I'm not going to be around.
Might stay for the UFC. Just joking. The war in Iran isn't the only thing dragging around the Trump White House. JD Vance is there too.
That's right. Gas prices continue to climb, forcing many Trump supporters to reduce the number of giant flags in their pickup trucks to only 2.
Too much taken too much gas.
It increases the wind resistance.
Yes,
it makes
I'm with you. Yeah,
sucks your mileage.
Yeah, you can do that when it's $2.79 a gallon. Remember those times? Remember
those times?
Remember those times 4 months ago?
About that?
4 months ago.
Inflation is 3.8%. They just got numbers today.
Yeah.
CPI's up.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The rise in fuel prices has meant a sharp decline in other spending at gas stations, meaning more sushi available for me.
Yes, I was hoping you'd get that one. Gas station sushi.
Ugh.
All right. Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. posted a video of himself catching a pair of black racer snakes on the patio of CMS director Dr. Oz's house in Florida. This story brought to you by the Incredible Sentences Department.
and while it's in Florida, everybody, it's black racer snakes, not black racist snakes. Okay, just to clarify. Right. Just reports are that Kennedy did in fact eat both snakes, but that he experienced indigestion when the snake encountered the mongoose he had ingested earlier.
Yes,
it's just like I don't know, like
it's possible.
Weird innards, Inception type shit. Things eating things inside of things.
Inception. New Jersey Congressman Tom Keene has not been seen for 80 days and counting, but since he's from New Jersey, he's probably just stuck on the turnpike somewhere.
What in the dog? Tom Keene has not been seen.
That is a good rhyme, but also true. I encourage everybody who lives along the Appalachian Trail to go check just in case.
Yeah, oh, God.
That's actually a worse story than it sounds like. We can talk about that later, but go ahead.
After the Supreme Court allowed Southern states to end black voting rights, Alabama moved to enact a set of districts the court already struck down in 2023, and were again stopped by the court answering the question, quote, which state is truly the most racist?
That's right. The court was like, we already ruled that this was intentionally racist. You guys wrote down we're doing this because we're racist. Not to be outdone, Mississippi attempted to redraw their districts, but the court didn't accept their submission because it was drawn in crayon.
Jeez, leave them alone.
They can't hear me.
Trump is plowing ahead with construction of his UFC octagon on the White House lawn, and reports are that the DOD has, quote, number of sides envy. Oh my God.
I wanted you to get that one too. That's good.
Oh my God.
That's a geometry joke.
What?
Yeah, people are like, you two idiots just make a bunch of really dry, stupid dad jokes. And then our writers were like, I got you.
Yeah, hold my beer. Like,
yeah. Pentagon, octagon, number of sides envy. This is dynamite stuff right there.
I don't feel proud.
Know your audience, man. The fight will take place to celebrate the 250th birthday of our nation, because as Patrick Henry famously said, give me liberty or give me several rounds of dudes in tight shorts on top of each other.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
That was the quote.
That was the quote. Yeah. Memorial Day was this past weekend, a time to commemorate our fallen service members by holding large furniture sales. Coincidentally, JD Vance had a fantastic Memorial Day.
Yes, he did.
We do commemorate them by selling consumerism. What are you gonna do?
That's a great joke. Memorial Day kicks off the start of the summer travel season, but with gas prices so high, many Americans can't afford that road trip. So sorry, Grandma. That's not a joke, really. I think it's just like a thing.
No, it's okay. I listened today. Grandma will just talk to the AI robot.
That's right.
Have to go see her. Speaking of gas prices, Trump called the massive increases, quote, it's again, guys, midterms are coming. It increases peanuts, because that was one of the three things on the dementia test in front of him at the time. Yikes.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. In response to the peanuts comment, Snoopy has filed a lawsuit. And those are the headlines. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I almost sent you there's a story that I want you to talk about maybe next week when we get more of this data, but there was polling data that shows that the white working class has flipped on Trump, and they give him a 54% negative. So, this thing that you've been talking about is maybe we may have finally found the bridge too far.
Isn't this the case with every president? The one thing they can't escape is the economy. And like, for better, for worse, right? Biden had to hold the economy that, like, again, it was taking too long, and unfortunately, that's just how the shit shook out. I don't
but
think
in
there's
this
anything.
case, this isn't like
crazy.
a holdover.
This is crazy. People saw
direct involvement of Trump to crash everything, and quickly enough that they can say he did it.
They were doing it with the tariffs, and we were still battling. We were still like we hadn't hit it yet, and he was like, "You know what? I got something. You won't let me destroy the economy.
This is not crashing fast enough. I want to buy everything for no money. I want the economy to fail. Also, those farmers are still surviving. I have to destroy them. So many people are saying the farmers have to die. I have to kill the farmers. Sorry.
He's killing the farmers.
He was like, I got you.
It's insane. Gas prices could hit $5. Here, like, or $5.50. That you might have riots in the streets. Like,
so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I just wanted, like,
and maybe we'll get money for it. No, everybody.
No, if you riot, you get paid. Well, it depends. I can get paid for it. You probably can't.
I'll get paid. I'll pay for it.
I will. I will probably convince somebody I was there.
Yeah, I will pay for it.
I even got the beard.
Yeah,
I wear the same outfits that they do.
That is true. They do too much digging, though. It's over for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But they clearly they're not into actually checking anything.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the headlines. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Dan about baseball, which we have a ton of stuff to ask him about. This has been a remarkable beginning to the season. So I'm so excited.
We could start with the end of last season.
No, don't. Did you read ahead? Don't read ahead.
I didn't read ahead.
Of course not. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweet.
Before you hit that door, baby, you better check that curl. Cleavon told me so. Alarm clock ringing, sunlight on my face. Can't step outside with the curl out of place. Mirror say, player, better tighten that loop. A dry ass curl, brother, that ain't the move. I need that drip, need that shine to behave. Need my curl looking slick as Rick James. From the roots to the tips, let it flow like truth. Ain't nothing poppin' till I grab the juice. Oh, African berries, juice is so pure, curl so full, yeah, it's blessed for sure. Prince Hakeem dreams in every strand, but without them chemicals messing up my hands. Get the juice, get it, to keep your curl loose. Strip so clean, shine so smooth, one splash hit and you know the truth. Get the juice, to keep your curl loose. From the crown to the roots, ain't no curl curling without the juice. Keep your curl the juice. Unfiltered water, straight from Lake Victoria. Tanzania minerals, bring the curl euphoria. Hit it once, 5 to 10 minutes strong. Then evaporation, say player, you've been warned. Summer heat, turn curls to an afro quick. So keep a bottle close, yeah, that's the trick. Reapply on the go, keep the motion improved. Stay glossy all day with the juice. No harsh chemicals, no itchy scalp, no greasy couch stains. Don't mess up my headrest, man. Just shine, luster, and drip, and drip, and drip. Oh, get the juice, get it, to keep your curl loose. Let it sway, let it shine, that curl pattern working overtime. Get the juice, juice. Keep it.
What is that? What is that?
Sounds like Todd. That was about 20.
Out.
What the hell was that? Okay. Welcome back to Chip Chat here on
Hello.
Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez Brian.
What are you trying to do, man?
What was that?
I know partly what it was.
Okay.
Well, that
Explain
was
yourself.
your song.
Explain
yeah,
yourself.
we know that.
Okay. So again, yes, as everyone knows, the headlines, the headache headlines are brought to you by the Jews. So apparently we
That's
all
the
knew
Jews,
about
not the Jews, just to be very clear.
well, Trump had some juice that was making him do all that stuff. So what
They
I've
had
done,
like a mic on him.
I don't know what it is. So again, someone was filming from afar. They saw Trump come in and he was ripping it, literally. And so as if you saw the little bits, you even see the Marine, he was like surprised at what was going on. And one of his aides just tried to move as fast as she could without getting hit by the gas that was coming out of him.
So that was in the limo.
No, it started in the limo, but he walked outside, to relieve himself, so to speak.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what he was okay. Thank
Yes.
you for that explanation for that
Yes.
part.
So yeah, and of course the NBC reporter that was from all the buckshots that were happening prior to that, but a nice little remix version of this. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you,
Sorry.
Brian, for
our guests. That's how we brought
classing
him
up
on.
the show right before our
Yeah,
guest
right
is on.
Usually we do this after the guest. we usually play like a song from somebody that it's nice and dope. We don't do this. All right.
So Dan Formosa is an engineer, author, YouTube star, and all kinds of things. But what he is to us is our baseball rules insider. And what's more inside baseball than people talking about the new rules? This year, there are some big changes. As we like to do, we've invited Dan back to the show to discuss. And for some reason, especially after that, he's decided to come back. Dan, welcome back to Chip Chat.
I am happy to be back.
That's a
very
statement.
kind.
Hey, can I start with something that I'm really surprised at? Headline. How did you guys skip over the $250 bill with Trump's picture on it?
Because our writers wrote this yesterday, and that hadn't happened yet. And also, there is so many things that we have to skip, and that probably can't happen. So I don't know. It's dictator shit. He's already on, he put himself on a passport. He's got a gold statue of him doing the Saddam pose. He's doing it the most. He show up like Gaddafi with a bunch of fucking medals on his chest that he didn't earn.
So much Chairman Mao stuff going on.
It is. It's
a lot of that.
Hey, my bet pays off at the end of June. If there's still an election scheduled at the end of June, then I'll lose. But we'll see.
Oh, it is June. That is where you. Yeah, okay.
We are very close. Yeah,
very close.
So that's good. That's a bet I want to lose. Okay, so There are some new rules in baseball this year, and the first question I want to ask, because we talked about this last year, is that there's a line on the outside of the first base path that is, you explained to us, that's the point at which right-handed batters have to get onto the base path or be close to it or on it or whatever, or a little outside of it. But that rule got removed. So did they take that line away? Is the line gone?
The line is still there in most stadiums. But
so why?
But I don't know. Someone's getting paid to put it down.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know, the groundskeeping is really funny because there are some standards, of course, to the infield, but not to like the height of the grass or the pitch of the dirt going up the first base line. Like, for instance, if you have a team that bunts a lot, they want to keep the ball in, so it may be graded a little bit to the inside. And of course, they recruit players based on the stadium because they're going to play half the games in that stadium. So depending on where they hit, left, right, etc. So a lot of things going on with groundskeeping that you may not even think about.
Okay, so the line now is completely vestigial.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Settled. All right, so the big one that, of course, everybody wants to talk about is ABS, right? And the challenge system and all that stuff. So before we get into the details of this, can you briefly explain to everybody what the new set of rules for challenging pitches and how the ABS system is involved in that and all of that?
Right. So in the regular 9 innings, each team gets 2 chances to challenge the umpire's call of ball
on balls and strikes, not on other stuff.
No, definitely not on other things, but on balls and strikes. Each team gets 2 chances. If the ABS system, which is a series of 12 cameras that are watching that ball as it crosses home plate, if that challenge is upheld, in other words, if the umpire is incorrect, if the cameras are correct and they disagree with the umpire, then that does not count as one of the 2 chances to challenge.
So you can
continue on as long as the team that challenges is correct, as long as the ABS system upholds the challenge for the team that questioned it.
Gotcha. So you can basically be wrong twice.
Right. Now, if you go into extra innings, it's 1 each inning. It's 1 more time each inning.
Gotcha.
Extra inning.
Okay. So that's the basic thing. So is this in the rule book though? Like, what's the deal with that?
No.
Okay. Explain.
Strangely, the ABS rule is not mentioned in the official rule book of 2026, Major League Baseball's official rule book of 2026. And I have been searching around as to figure out why, and I cannot, but it's not in there. You can download the 2026 rules. You just can't find any mention of ABS system. Now, that's in the rule book. You can find descriptions on the Major League Baseball site. But
okay, if it's not in the rule book, how is this being administered or governed? I mean, at what point could some skipper just walk out and be like, hey, this isn't in the rules?
It would have to been collectively bargained, right? At some point, right? I don't remember when.
It have to be in a CBA.
Yeah.
There is an umpire's manual, 2026 umpire's manual, and it's described there. But strangely, it's as if Major League Baseball did not commit to the ABS rule.
Huh.
Fear commitment, which, a lot of us.
Is it like a pilot program?
What?
Is it like a pilot program?
Well, they're not calling it that.
So what is this?
Because wasn't it a pilot program in the? Didn't it start minors, and then didn't they do spring training? I don't know if it was last year, and then and then this year they introduced it. So yeah,
because last year the umps tossed a few guys who did the hand signal for the challenge after, because they were doing it in spring training. And then there were a few guys that sort of carried that way as a way to like disagree with the call. They would go and touch their helmets and then the umps tossed him for showing him up essentially. And so, how is this operating without a rule?
Yeah, well, it is a bit of a mystery, and I think the rules are a little bit dysfunctional because of that. Actually, that is, to me, it's actually pretty shocking that it's not in the 2026 rule book. Now, the 2026 rules are released only a couple weeks ago. They are released a couple weeks into the season, which is also kind of odd. The rules are not released to the public on opening day or before opening day. They're released a couple weeks later.
Is that every year, or is that just this year?
Every year.
Okay.
So
why are they doing this?
It is an oddity. It's I don't know. It's a mystery. I do not have an explanation or an excuse for Major League Baseball.
That's that as a baseball person, that strikes me as strange because nearly everything in baseball has a long, complicated explanation with details and a story, and this happened this time, and it happened this one other time, and somebody said, but it could do this, and so then we had to come up with this. Like, there's depth and minutia involved in baseball rules, and they didn't bother to include this. All right, so now here's the real question: like, how is this working? That's what I really want to know. Like, so far, we're a few months into the season. How is ABS and the challenge system effectively working out for the game?
Well, first of all, it depends how interested you are in knowing that the ball is 0.3 inches outside of the strike zone. To me, it's a little too much detail. But in terms of what it means is the strike zone has been redefined.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? There isn't a strike zone. So how do you know where the strike zone is? How do the cameras know where the strike zone?
Previously, from day one of baseball up until this year, the strike zone was if you picture it like a three-dimensional projection above home plate, the strike zone was this three-dimensional shape in space that was the dimensions of home plate, and it had a height and had a lower height and an upper height.
Right.
The lower height and upper height was based on the batter's body when that batter was in batting position. So the batter would crouch, and the definition of the strike zone is really vague. Like I said, it was projected up from home plate, a three-dimensional shape, went to 5 sides.
Yep.
And the bottom of the strike zone was the top of the knees, or the hollow of the knees. I
was going to say it's the back of the knees, right?
Yeah, the hollow of the batter's knees. And the top was the midpoint
of the batter.
His torso. So it was vague to start with, right? I mean, you can't really see the back of the hollow of the knees. You can't really figure out where the midpoint is. So it was vague to start with. So what the strike zone is now, it's a two-dimensional plane. It is in the middle of home plate. It is the width of home plate, like it has always been, 17 inches wide, width of home plate. But now it is based on each batter's standing height when they're not wearing cleats.
How are they?
What? And let me tell you what that is. So the strike zone is take the batter's height, multiply by 53.5% of his height, and that's the top limit of the strike zone. 53.5%.
Where did they get that from?
The bottom is 27% of the batter's height. So it has nothing to do with the batter crouching anymore. So if the batter crouches more or less, doesn't matter. It is this bizarre percentages based on the batter's height without cleats.
So what if who loads?
So they
in
get scanned. I would say they get scanned every year. This year people have to do some type of scan.
What if you get called up to the show? Do they scan you on your way up?
Well, they must know the batter's height. Each batter, each player, each batter.
But okay, So traditionally, right, you might look on the back of a baseball card that would tell you like the batter's, stats, and it might have like a height and a weight. And a lot of times people are like, yeah, sure, that he's not that tall, or he's taller than that, or whatever.
Lying about his height.
Yeah, that happens a lot. It certainly happens in basketball. So like, why? What? There's a lot of room for manipulation. What if Jose Altuve somehow they say that he's 6 feet tall? I mean, there's no way, right? Guy's 4'10" on a good day.
Well, they must have a more they must have a proper way of knowing what each batter
is. That in the rule book?
Oh no, it's not in the rule book. No, ABS is not. The new strike zone is not in the rule book.
So what are we doing here? We're just making shit up as we go. I mean, look, I take your point that the strike zone was always kind of made up, right? As a kid, we all learned the same thing. It's your knees and it's your shoulders, but nobody ever calls the shoulders. And there's the letter high, and it's like it's rare that you get called for a letter high strike. So
and it's the person behind the plate. Like it's that too, right? Isn't it the umpire behind the plate?
Like, I remember quibbling about like letter high. Like a letter high strike is a thing, right? There's a word for this ball that passes you, and you get called, and you're like, that was letter high, and the ump's like, that's a strike. You're out. What do you? But now that's not even real. Dan? We can't. We need a rules-based society. We can't just be making up baseball as we go. We're not Abner Doubleday here. How is this happening? Where there's no. How could the CBA allow for this? The Players Association has to have some input here, right?
It seems to be working. I don't know.
It's fun to watch. I'm not saying that.
I will sum it up by saying it's unexplainable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not in the rule book. I don't know how they came up with
53.5%.
When I said 53, I said 53.5% of the batter's height.
What the hell does that even mean?
No cleats on, which I did not know.
So think about this now from the umpire's point of view, or from the catcher's point of view. There are no landmarks.
Right. How can he possibly judge this? Because he can't even look at the shoulders or the knees or the letters or anything.
Yeah, it's not even guessing where the hollow of the knee is. There is nothing tangible. When the batter comes out to bat, there's nothing tangible that would determine the height or the upper height or the lower height of the strike zone.
And what if you throw like a wicked slider that comes and crosses the plate deeper than that plane is now? Like, you could do that. I've seen it, right? I've personally been I've swung at them, right? The pitch that comes in on you or in this case outside and cuts across, and you're like, that's definitely a ball, but it does catch because it used to be a 5-sided column, right?
Yeah. Yes. So
now
that
doesn't do that anymore?
That's not the case anymore. What you said was right last year. It was a invisible three-dimensional shape. So if you manage to pitch in a way that curved around the back of a home plate.
Yeah, caught the back corner. I mean, like every other pitch Tom Glavine ever threw. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
So Glavine couldn't pitch in an ABS world because painting the black no longer counts.
Correct. It is now a two-dimensional plane.
But it's not in the rules.
But it's not in the rules.
I'm getting pissed off. All right. The other question really about this is, from me watching, layperson watching, it appears that there is, and I'm not going to say who I think it is. I'm going to let you guys say who you think it is. There is a particular group of players who are better at challenging this strike zone calls than other groups of players. And I want to know who you think that is just watching.
I know who it is.
Oh, you know who it is. All right, Tez, do you know who I know who I think it is. I don't know if it's right, but
what do you think, Tez?
Of like the group of players who are doing this?
Yeah, there's one group of players that are better at calling this than anybody else?
I mean, for me, I would say from what I've seen, it's just the catchers are the ones that
Yes,
able to do this the
it's
best.
catchers. So I know that pitchers think more things are strikes than are, and I know that from personal experience. And but I think catchers are the most accurate at challenging this, and I wonder what the actual stats.
Some
show.
are bad though. I mean, because I've seen some who've had just on the Nats alone, like Millis is terrible.
Yeah, but if the catcher calls for the challenge, he's probably getting it right. That's what that's what I've noticed. Dan, what's the actual answer here?
Well, so first of all, the players who can challenge a pitch are the catcher, the pitcher, and the batter.
Yeah, it's not like the shortstop is challenging.
Yeah, it's not like everyone else can challenge it, right?
Yeah.
Not the manager can't do it. So it's out of those three, and who is more correct? It's the person who's actually in a better position to see where the ball is going, and that's the catcher.
Yeah.
He
So
just has a better. The catcher just has a better vantage point, and also the catcher knows where it's where the glove is going to catch it. So there's a bit of a physical sense too.
He has a feedback too, because right when even if he's framing the pitch, he knows where it hit him in the mitt, so he can get a feel for like where it was relative to the plate position.
Yeah. Now that being said, catches are about 60 to 65% correct.
So still,
yeah. So almost 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah. And what's the accuracy rate of the pitchers?
Below 40.
Below 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
every pitcher is sure. What are you talking about, Blue? That was a strike.
Some teams are preventing their pitchers from challenging.
No, it doesn't.
That's smart. It sounds like
it is smart. You get some hot-headed pitcher up there, burns 2 challenges and 2 pitches, and then he screws his whole team. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what have you found down to be like the best areas to do this on? Like, I assume, like for me looking at it, it's like
to it too. You don't challenge early in the game.
Yeah, or not early in the game, but like I assume you really want to do this probably like when you have people on base, like. But is there like a specific area that we've seen people's like in, like to Chip's point, like the strategy of this?
I think it's more to do with the probability that the catcher is correct. Or whoever challenged it, the probability in their mind that they are correct and that they don't agree with the umpire's call. So it could be anything, ranging from strategy to ego.
Yeah, but I would imagine if you think about the way that sabermetrics or all this stuff has changed baseball so drastically, at some point there'll be enough data on this that somebody will be able to figure out what innings are good to challenge in, what innings are not, what situations are good to challenge in, in the same way that like when to send the runner or whatever. You can map this out. It's like, is it worth making the attempt to steal in given situation? Sure, there's always an ego percentage there, but by and large, that doesn't. These guys are pros, right? That mostly gets suppressed. I'm not saying 100%, but like eventually they'll learn not to get hot-headed and waste challenges. Also, like pitchers could burn their own hitters by challenging on stuff that they threw, right? When then their hitters want to challenge and they can't.
Yeah.
Well, baseball is full of statisticians.
Right.
Advising the teams. And now we've got AI in the mix.
Yeah.
So AI is going to maybe see things even the statisticians are not seeing.
That's a good point.
So yeah, there is no shortage of data in baseball. It's very interesting about baseball is it's very digital to start with. Unlike some other
like the players all have numbers, like you can describe a double play by a series of numbers, for example.
Yeah. But also, unlike something like soccer or football, baseball is based on one pitch, one ball, one strike, one hit, one single, one double. It lends itself very well to statistics.
Yeah. I've always said that. So my dad is a huge baseball guy. He's also an economist. And I have said for the longest time that I think the reason that a lot of economists love baseball is that baseball exists primarily to generate numbers that then can be sliced and diced and examined forever. The game is incidental. It's the data that it produces that everybody cares about.
Yeah. The other thing that baseball is conducive to, and the reason it has existed over the decades, is that it was very easily listened to on radio.
Oh, yeah. The cadence of baseball on radio is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. There's probably no better sound in the world.
Yeah. You don't necessarily have to see it happen.
Right.
So yeah, baseball is interesting from a whole lot of aspects. Now, the other thing that's going on with the ABS system is while Major League Baseball wants to shorten the games as much as possible, the challenges are adding about 5 minutes to each game.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, like, the NFL had this problem that replay made the game so long that then they got rid of it altogether, and then people wanted it back, and now it's basically back to making the game so long.
I'm okay with these 5 minutes added to it. Like,
it's worth it to get it right.
I think. I mean, yeah, and at least inside this. I mean, I think inside the stadium and even watching it on television, fans seem to really enjoy this. And like whether you get it right or wrong, like there's a feeling of when that jumps up onto the screen and folks are waiting to see it. Like it feels different. Like it definitely. I think it's a success.
But to Dan's point, it does the ABS challenges or the replay challenges, like, you know, whether somebody's safe on a tag or whatever, lend themselves very well to television, and in the stadium where there's the jumbotron, they do not lend themselves to radio.
No,
so
they do not.
Now, when you're in the middle of this challenge, you got to chatter for a good 2-3 minutes to like fill this time while the umps are figuring out what all is going on. I mean, baseball announcers are great at that, but I'm just saying, like, that's yet another. Hey, look, I grew up with John Miller on the radio calling the Orioles. So you know, talk about like a luxury living as a kid with listening to that voice tell you what's going on is like, I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have at the time, but it is incredible. But yeah, I mean, they got to fill time, right? They got to explain what's happening in the challenge.
Yeah. And, you know, on radio, well, even on television, baseball has a sound and a pace to it. And, you know, I've not watched a game before where the announcers have not talked about the food in this.
Yeah, right. They talk about the food in the town.
The restaurants that they went to last night. You know, there's a lot of chatter going on because of the pace of the game lends itself to that. You wouldn't get that in football, right? You wouldn't get that in soccer, but in baseball, you know, people can chat with the announcers can chat with each other.
Yeah, you certainly don't get that in basketball or hockey or anything that's that fast. All right, so a little while ago there was a rule problem with switch pitchers and switch hitters. We finally had a few guys who could throw gas left or right-handed, and so there would get to be this problem that had not really come up before, where you got a switch hitter who faces off against say a lefty pitcher, and he's like, all right, I'm going to hit from the right side. And then the pitcher switches and he's like, I'm right-handed. And then he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to hit from the left side. So they had to put a stop to that. What is the official position? Where are we at with that? Because I didn't hear if it all got finalized or whatever.
Well, you definitely can't switch, as you know, when the batter comes up, the batter can't take a couple of left-handed swings and then a couple of right-handed swings.
I thought they were allowed to switch twice.
Not
during an at bat.
Not during the term at bat. Not when they're at bat.
Okay, but they could switch in. How many ambidextrous pitchers are in the majors right now? Are there any?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the actual number.
I know there was like a couple in the minors, and they had these weird mitts that had 6 fingers, so they could switch. Yeah,
so they could switch hands.
Yeah, it's sort of like a backwards Jim Abbott situation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know it is finalized. You can't switch during an at bat.
Yeah, not during an at bat. Yeah. That's a really good question. How many people are switching batting or pitching? That's a good question.
Yeah, how many switch pitchers are there in the majors right now? All right. So then there's also this rule about relievers have to face 3 batters before there's a pitching change. So like it used to be you'd bring in a guy to get 1 out and then you'd bring in another guy to get 1 out, and like it would drag the game out because every pitching change was like 7 minutes or whatever, and time for a commercial. So what is the current rule, and when was that finalized?
That rule was in place last year, so that is not new this year.
All right, and then the other question, this one came from my dad, which is really just sort of to ask your comments on this, the Ohtani rule. What is the Ohtani rule, and explain the details of that?
Well, what'd your father say about it?
Well, I mean, I know what it functionally means. That was just really the question. But so the rule has always been in baseball that unlike in, say, basketball, where you can come out and sit on the bench and come back into the game, right? In baseball, once you're out, right? You can't come back into the game, not even at a different position or anything. The only thing that you could, and you're in the same place in the lineup, even if you change positions or whatever. So, but with Ohtani, because he is serving as pitcher, and when he isn't pitching, he's DHing. Now that there's DH in the National League, they made a rule that says he can come out of the game as pitcher and still keep his spot in the lineup as DH, but then they can replace the pitching portion of his existence, or I don't know what to call it, but yes. That's the rule, right?
That's the rule. And keep in mind that Major League Baseball wants a lot of action on the field.
Right.
So
well, no, I'm not disagreeing with the rule, but does it apply to anybody other than Shohei?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question too. These are trick questions. There could be, I don't know. There could be other players where that applies.
Well, the reason I'm thinking about that is Ohtani is in our lifetimes extremely unique in that he is a dominant hitter and a dominant pitcher. But it's not that unique if you look back in the early days of baseball. Certainly Babe Ruth is the one that comes to mind, right? That he was such a good hitter that they changed him, made him not a pitcher anymore because they wanted his bat in the lineup as often as possible. If they had this rule, the Ohtani rule, in place then with a DH, which of course they didn't have, then Ruth might have been a two-way player that was that famous. But most of the guys playing in high school who are absolute fire throwers on the mound are also frequently very good hitters. And it isn't until they get drafted or go to college or whatever that they stop playing two-way ball. And I'm wondering if the Ohtani rule is likely to see more of that, in the pipeline, because it has opened the door for it. And are there other, because I mean, it makes sense. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And think about training too, because if you are pitching and batting, then you're spending half your time training on pitching and the other half training on batting. So you get half the training in each position as other players who are just batting or just pitching. So that can certainly have an effect.
Yeah, but Ohtani has demonstrated, and again, I know he's a phenom, but he can't be the only one. There will eventually be other two-way players that are at least competent enough at both positions who can hit well enough that it's worth having their bat in the lineup and throw well enough that it's worth having them in the rotation.
Yeah, it's just hard for them to get there because, I mean, they could be naturally gifted, of course, right? But the training is still halved for each position. The training
I guess that makes sense.
As intense as if they're just training for batting or just training for pitching.
Is it? I feel like it's an honor to be on the planet living and breathing at the same time as Shohei Ohtani. Do you think that is a thing that we will, like, our great grandchildren will be like telling these stories of like, oh man, there was this guy and he was the only guy and he did this incredible thing?
I don't know. Athletes are getting more and more surprising as the years go on. But yeah, I think he'll be somewhat of a legend.
Somewhat. Yeah, I think
Well,
he's already there.
I'm talking about the future. I'm talking about the future, right? He'll be he'll be legendary.
People will talk about Ohtani the way they talk about Babe Ruth or Ted Williams or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But then what if someone else comes along? So, I mean, because you were just saying there could be a competent one. What if another one comes along? Because again, to Dan's point, these athletes have changed. Like they've changed. Obviously, they're not the same. And across all the four major sports, they're different, right? I think even if you look at something like people scaling the wall now and robbing home runs, before that was kind of like, oh, a novelty. That happens every week. It doesn't every week there's someone who's scaling the wall and bringing it back over the fence. I feel like that wasn't always the case. I feel like that was more of a novelty at a point. So I think the athletes are at a high level. Are you frozen? No. Are you just yeah, he is frozen, right? Okay, good. All right. I was worried for a second.
All right. Maybe not.
No, he's definitely frozen.
Frozen.
He popped out.
I was looking at him and I was like, wait, he just has this stuck look on his face.
He was just memorized by what you were saying.
It was very weird. I was looking, I was like, wait, I know I do the show with him enough time. Something's wrong with him. Another question I had is like around, because I've even noticed this around, and maybe I don't think it's specific to like Masson and the Orioles and the Nationals broadcast here, but like the packages feel like they've all went, like it's hard to find this on TV for certain teams. Like Nationals have like their own streaming platform, and I mean, I was talking to a bartender at a popular bar here, or bar chain here in DC, and he was just like, I was like, hey, do you got the Nationals game? Like, do you have an MLB package? And he was like, no, since it's moved off of standard TV, I don't have that. And I'm wondering, like, between that and making it more difficult to find it, and then obviously there's the CBA that's going to come up, is there a possibility they squander away like this goodwill that I feel like there's been the last 3-4 years? Like baseball feels like it's back. Like, does the league mess this up, I guess is a more succinct way to say that?
I'm thinking yes. I've got the same problem looking for the Yankees game, right? And, Thursdays, like today, I think it's on Amazon Prime, which I have, but I just wasn't, I was in a different room, not in my Amazon Prime room. So, and I do feel like I've got to search. Like, one, is there a game today? Two, where is it?
Right.
And you would think like Major League Baseball would want to get the game out there to everybody, as many people as possible, as often as possible. But it seems to be more and more difficult to find a game. Unless you're paying some subscription or
right,
or you're watching it streamed online, or it does seem counterproductive for what Major League Baseball is expecting to do for their future. I mean, the reason they shortened the game is so that more people would be able to watch it, right? You won't dedicate 3.5 hours. You maybe like 2.5 hours to the game. So they're looking for a future. They're looking for fans. They're looking for people to watch. But making it more difficult to find a game seems like it's counterproductive.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I know, because I want to follow up, because I've seen where a lot of the clubs are doing their individual subscription things, and the pricing I feel is like pretty respectably decent for those who are true fans of their team, at least. My issue would be is like, again, I won't say an issue for me, because mind you, I am full-time Oriole fan. I'm okay for wherever they play on. If I want to get a subscription, I can. I just think it's like, for like what you guys are talking about, is the average fan. And I think that the fact, since back, mind you and I, Dan, we're old enough to remember the baseball game of the week on NBC, and just at least seeing that one particular game, even though our team is not on there, or respectable teams on there, at least we get to see a game there once a week. Do you feel that with the expansion of television medium in not just cable, but with subscription stuff, is it really getting more difficult for fans just to even focus on at least one game, and not just on your team, but just in a particular sport in general.
Yeah, and then also the economy is not doing great for a lot of people.
Right.
Cable television is already expensive, so you're paying so much for cable as it is. The bills that come in, every month are high enough as it is. So there's reluctance to add a subscription to that. So it's almost like you get ticked off. I'm paying so much for my cable already, but I can't find a game. So I think it just turns people sour on the idea of watching the game. And let's face it, there are a lot of alternatives of things to watch.
Yeah.
There's so many things. There's so much media out there, not necessarily sports, but there's plenty of other things to divert your attention away from sports. So, Major League Baseball, like all sports, needs to figure out what its future is. It needs to accumulate fans, especially all fans of all ages, but younger fans are going to have more longevity in watching the game. So yeah, it seems like a contradiction that they would ask for subscriptions for at least some of the games, or limit viewership for at least some of the games.
Yeah.
Well,
I think catch Chip up as well too. Where hopefully he knows.
Yeah,
we're
talking about subscriptions.
Yeah, I gathered that part. I think it's ridiculous that I can't watch the Orioles, even though I've already got Mass.
Okay.
And all
right. They're good. There you are. That's exactly where we're at.
And some of my friends are complaining that they don't have the Nats games now too, because it's not on. It's not part of Mass.
No.
Adult, but my FiOS still has both, and I think it's because maybe we just have a sports package that lets us see all the things. But yeah, I don't care. I mean, but
I guess the question I was mentioning. But the question that we were kind of debating is that baseball seems to have built so much goodwill over the last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And between this fragmented way of trying to actually watch the games, right? No one can find the damn games, right? Unless you have these high subscriptions, you have to pay for them. And then again, this, because I know they just dropped this first edition. I haven't had a chance to even dive into it, but the CBA is, it's coming up. They're going to have another collective bargaining
they might have
agreement.
A strike on their hands.
I think there has to be. They want salary cap, and I don't think the players union is going for this. And we know they're the strongest union, probably in this country, right? I would say the baseball union is the strongest union in this country.
Yeah, I don't know where that's going to go. We'll probably have to watch and see. If I had to guess, I would say that the players are going to win out, but there's probably going to be a lockout for some period of time, which will damage the relationship with the fans. Again, I don't know, man.
It's so good right now. It's crazy.
It's an abusive relationship, really, because we all want to watch baseball and stuff and listen to baseball and go to games and be part of baseball, and baseball really hates its fans. And historically,
I think it's baseball owners, not baseball itself. Baseball
owners. When I say baseball,
sport owners hate their fans. Let's start there. The first day I heard the other day, it's the first day the sports owners think about the fans. That'll be the first day that they ever think about them.
Well, the price of tickets is also prohibitive.
Yeah,
which is concessions. Don't forget those concessions.
You used to be able to go to a baseball game for dirt cheap. That was the whole.
That's the whole point. You play 162 of these games, you can't be charging a ton of money for them. The seats that we used to have at Camden were $8, and they were, Sunday home games. Yeah, they were good seats. They were behind home plate on the upper deck in the shade. They were perfect. They went up to 13. We considered that egregious. When they got up to 20, we dropped them. It's nuts. Can't afford that.
Yeah, look at the fallout from the World Cup.
Yeah, they've got a lot of unsold seats because they made them too expensive, and they bought all these hotel rooms. FIFA bought all these hotel rooms that they were going to sell in those packages, and they're so expensive, and nobody can afford them, and they can't get visas, so nobody's coming.
And only in America do we take this type of abuse from like the sports leagues and like ticket sales in general, because everywhere else they riot over shit. Like
They literally
this.
riot. Yeah.
They literally riot. And everyone's like, all right, everybody, you know what? So sorry that we're playing around with you and your money. Apologies. Here, they're like, FIFA's like, oh, gold mine. They'll go in the secondary market.
Well,
that we
FIFA
probably
knows
control.
that Americans don't care about soccer, and that it's just about being there for Instagram photos to show your friends or something, and people will pay for that. But like, you know, in Britain, there's I could give you probably 10 examples right now of where fans have occupied stadiums
Right.
until they get what they need. Like for days. I don't mean for like a while after the game. I mean for days. They'll occupy a stadium until the ownership caves. I don't know why we don't do that here.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the World Cup because, you know, at least around here, New York area, so many people interested.
Yeah.
In watching it. I mean, so many people who are just very passionate about it. But at the same time, they're kind of getting screwed out of
Nobody can afford a ticket at all.
Can you afford the train or whatever they're doing to get out to friggin' MetLife? I heard that they upped the price of that. That was like, what was it, $7, and it's like $100 or $200 to get out there now.
No, that's it. Down here, it's a news item every day. How much it's going to cost to get to the stadium? The train.
Yeah, Kansas City had this whole thing that they're like, oh, well, we're going to make a free bus that goes there. Okay, great. But like, then parking for the free bus is $1 billion and everything else is $1 billion. It's
probably cheaper to go to Mexico City to watch a match than to go anywhere. Maybe in the United States.
This is why we need $250 bills.
Yeah, well, there we go. We brought it back. There it is.
Right.
There we go. Full circle. Yeah, I need.
But it's also a thing where like
$250 bills.
If you make it prohibitively expensive to attend a game, baseball or otherwise, people won't, and they will watch at home or they will listen on the radio and they will or stream it or whatever. And so that's why they're making it so difficult to stream, but they're not also like they're trying to box us in. I feel like, you know, they're trying to cut off avenues.
It's hard to watch on TV and hard to go.
Yeah.
Both. That's how you lose the sport.
They're trying to make it so we can't watch baseball. I think it's time to occupy these stadiums. That's the right thing to do. Is we're gonna have to occupy Camden until they drop the prices back down to $13, and that's it. How many hot dogs can you eat?
I think they're shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of these issues.
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to predict that in your next book. So then I do have another rules question, which is it gets around. So like last time you were here, we talked about the torpedo bat, right? Whatever came of the torpedo bat, was there a change in any of the rules or anything like that?
No, I am so disappointed. I thought torpedo bats were going to be super cool, and people were going to be hitting that ball all over the field. And
it was a minor improvement at best.
Yeah, and not everyone is warming up to it. Not every player is warming up to it. Some batters prefer it, and I can understand why, because it feels different than other bats. But there's not an amazing improvement in hitting power. If there was, every batter would be using
Everybody would do it instantly. Yeah.
But I'm kind of disappointed. I thought it was a very believable idea that by moving the weight of the bat, center of gravity of the weight to the middle of the bat, the swing would be faster, and the sweet spot would be.
Yeah, it makes the sweet spot bigger.
Yeah, the sweet spot would be bigger. So, and I'm sure there's, I like watching those videos where they slow up the compression of the baseball when it hits the wall, it hits the bat or something, And so my initial impression of the torpedo bat was that if you take the weight out of the far end of the bat and you move it to the middle, then if you for instance, this is the way I think of it. If the bat was made of hard rubber,
Okay.
and you whacked it, and you had the weight at the end of the bat, but you hit it in the sweet spot, I bet that bat would deform.
Curl around the ball a little bit.
Yeah, and you lose energy in doing
Right.
that. If now the fat part of the bat is in the middle, it's a hard rubber bat, and you hit in the middle, it's not going to deform or not
Right.
not going to deform because you're hitting right in the sweet spot, and that's where the weight is. So that was my initial vision of why I had high hopes for the torpedo bat, or at least why I thought the torpedo bat was going to work. But that's not working out to be the case. Now, of course, the far end of the bat is swinging faster simply because it's the far end of the bat.
Right, it has to.
Yeah, so it has to. So that offsets the idea of the sweet spot a little bit because, it's the sweet spot doesn't have the same speed as the far end of the bat.
Yeah, that's the classic thing to explain to people about rotation and speed, like which part of the record is moving faster, the grooves in the middle versus the grooves on the outside of the record. And you're like, well, they're obviously moving at the same speed or the sound would be different. Well, no, actually the outside's going much further per rotation than the inside. So how is it that confuses the hell out of people? But it's the same.
Well, you get better quality on the outside of the record.
Yeah, slightly. You do, because the speed and thus the compression, but it also that's the thing that people can't really see, but that the grooves, the compression rate of the grooves is different on the outside of the record than it is on the inside of the record to account for that speed difference. But so the question that I wanted to ask about, like, maybe upcoming rules, right? Because part of your job is to write about new rules as they come. So you probably need to try to predict a little bit or think a little bit about that. There's this new sort of pitching strategy that has appeared in some places. And there's kind of two parts to this thing. One is the outright bullpen game. That's not new necessarily. The bullpen game has existed for a long time, right? Where you don't have necessarily a starter, but you run the game by having a series of relievers come in for 2 to 3 innings at a time or something like that, and do that. But now there's this thing with the opener, the idea that the same way you've got a closer whose job it is to throw gas for 1 inning and get 3 outs, and that's all he's got to do. Now they've taken that same idea and put it to the front of the game where you want to just get the first 3 guys out and get out of that first inning, and then your starter comes in, which obviously then he isn't actually the starter. But it seems like there's an obvious solution to that, which is, well, move the order down, right? If you think you're about to face somebody who's going to put in an opener, then just move your 1, 2, and 3 into the 4, 5, and 6 position and put your cleanup guy in the 7 spot. Is there going to need to be a rule that explains, like, a starting pitcher has to go 2 innings or something like that?
I don't know if we want rules about strategy.
Yeah.
Well, they've already got the rule about the pitchers having to face 3 batters. That's kind of what got me thinking about this.
Yeah. I don't know. That would I feel that's wrong. Will it happen? I don't know. But I just feel there's a little bit too much manipulation going on. At some point, there's just a little too much manipulation going on.
I think that, like, the problem with the opener is that it's just creating like another arms race where there's an obvious solution, right? That the managers will just move the order, and then then what will they respond with? Okay, well, then we'll have a guy throw 1 inning, then inning 2, and then inning 3, or like, then you are playing a legit bullpen game every game. What are we doing here? What does this get? Is the opener a bad move? What's the deal?
So what you're saying is it'll offset, if that was the case, it would offset, the batting order would offset that. Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then it's sort of a wash. So why make it why do it?
But they are doing it.
Yeah.
So,
but you wouldn't have to, I guess you still don't need a rule though, right? Even if you take your suggestion of moving folks down in the lineup, like, you don't need a rule added to any of this at all. Like, because again,
you maybe don't. I'm just thinking about in this. Okay, so
Because you think they want folks to stop the opener? Is that
yeah,
like
a way to stop that as a strategy, because the way it just okay. Like if you think about a closer, right? Think about the closer. He's got incredible power. He can throw 99, but he can do it for like a total of 20 pitches, and then he's just completely cooked. So it doesn't make sense to carry more than one of those guys in your lineup. You might have a setup guy who you can occasionally use.
These bullpens are throwing these new bullpens some of these folks are throwing gas.
I know they are. That's but what I'm saying is that,
not as a closer, I would say, like
you've only got so many pitchers you can carry on a roster. Okay. So if it's worth it to have a guy who's only good for one inning. If he's your closer, that might be worth it. But are you going to use up lineup spots for guys who are openers who can also throw only one inning? They really don't have the arm strength to do it for a second inning or not. And if you are going to do that and know that you can be easily defeated by a shift in the lineup, then are you even less likely to do it? I'm maybe it's not a rules question, but it is a question of like, what are we doing with this opener? What is the purpose of this? And will it survive? Are we still going to see it?
Depends on your depending on your starting rotation, that's when you have to use one of these.
I kind of get where Chip is kind of going with it because of the fact that you have a lot of pitchers nowadays are on these pitch count time limits.
Right. They're all pitch limited.
So you pretty much, I've seen this a lot in college baseball. Most of the starters, they're not going like, preparing to be a 5-6 inning guy. It's usually like maybe 3 or 4 innings.
Right.
And he's out. So, and if you're thinking of it in that aspect, I feel like, it kind of, I've never been a fan of the pitch count anyway, because to me, it's a mental thing for a pitcher. Because, I felt like, I've seen guys who look like they have no gas left and still going. And, again, I'm old school back in the day.
Well, we had it in the World Baseball Classic
but
where
now,
it was.
but I kind of agree. I kind of understand now where the managers have to really adjust, because a lot of the pitchers, with not just the pitch count limit, but also the fact of these crazy arm injuries that are just happening out of nowhere. And everyone's getting Tommy John like left and right.
They're just throwing so much harder. But we saw pitch counts like as a rule in World Baseball Classic, right? Where you couldn't throw a complete game, even if you were in,
Well, that because everyone had to agreement, because most of these guys are still in spring training mode. And
I understand that, but we saw, so the other day, like last week, we saw, they're not Oakland anymore, but I don't know the new word to call them. So there was a pitcher on Oakland who
soon to be Vegas
was going. He was
not yet
deep in a no hitter. Yeah, he was deep in a no hitter, and he got all the way to the ninth, and then he blew it, and he ended up losing the game. But like that drama of, I've seen a no-no. If you've never seen one in real life, it's an incredible experience.
Right.
I feel like the chances of a single pitcher no-hitter, there have been now these like combined team no-hitters, several of them, but that's weird to me. I don't like, if a guy's got a no-no going, don't take him out. What are you doing? It's like against everything baseball. You don't talk to him. You don't mention it. You don't do all this. This is all these things in the dugout. You don't look at him. You don't shake his hand, blah, blah, blah. Then you're going to like, oh yeah, but you're at 79 pitches, one more and you're done. What are we talking about here? Can't do that. It's not baseball.
Again,
you can't risk it. Yeah, you can't risk the injury at a certain. I mean, at a certain point, I'm with you on that, but you can't. Like, the manager's there to protect them. I agree. I agree.
Not right.
So in terms of rule changes and starting pitchers, from Major League Baseball's point of view, they will consider what is going to put more action on the field and get more people into the stands, or get more viewers or baseball fans.
3 quick strikeouts does not do that, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to do something to discourage it.
Yeah, they want
openers are not automatic though either. Like
Chicks love the long ball.
Well, you know, a lot of the new rules are in place to put the pitcher at a disadvantage because the pitcher is getting too good.
Right.
So the reason the action on the field is not high is because the pitchers are getting better than the batters.
Now you've hit this problem. You want to speed the game up, let the pitchers be great. You 3 Ks in a row, bam, bam, bam. That's great.
There was no action though between that and the shift. That people were standing.
There's no action. There's action between the mound and the plate. That's where the action is.
It can't that can't continue. Not for the growth of the game. You can't have that. You just can't. Like it's not. Speaking of pitching though, like I gotta get your thoughts on this Mizorowski guy. That's insane. I saw that when they came here to DC, and I haven't seen anybody throw the ball like that. And only somewhere like over 50 pitches at like over 100 miles per hour, or he's hitting 103 at times. I've never seen.
How is he doing that?
Yeah.
So my doctorate's in biomechanics.
Right. Okay.
And your shoulder is a ball and socket joint, but it's not much of a ball and socket. It's not even really a socket. So what's holding your shoulder in place is soft tissue, the rotating cuff.
Yeah.
There are instances when, like, a parent and a little kid are walking down the street. The kid doesn't want to come along. Kid just refuses to come. Parent yanks the kid's hand and dislocates the shoulder. It's horrible, right? But there's nothing holding that shoulder in.
Crazy as a parent.
And the forces within your body, just with normal activity, just like walking down the street or walking up steps, the forces within your body are really surprising. If you look at it mechanically, biomechanically, the amount of pounds of force, it's really newtons of force within your body, is much higher than you would even guess.
It's tremendous. People don't really think about that at all. But even like opening a soda or something like that it's a lot of torque.
Yeah, I do demonstrations in the workshops I do on biomechanics, sitting up from a chair. If you look at the pull on your quadriceps and you look at the basic mechanics of your body weight and what you're doing, it's easily 500 pounds per leg.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. This is why when you stand up, you lean all the way forward, because that, now the dynamics are a little bit different because the center of gravity is closer to your knees. So the amount of damage or strain or wear that happens at the shoulder when you're pitching in these bizarrely awkward positions. You've seen these like still pictures of pitches, right? It's just, it's really damaging. It can be really damaging. Your body is not designed to pitch at 100 miles an hour, pitch a ball at 100 miles an hour.
And the throwing motion is wrong. Like throwing this is crazy, right? You're supposed to throw underhand, right? Normally, right? Isn't that is the way, like a safe way to throw, right? Like I'm just saying, like for humans, if I'm normally throwing something to somebody to save my arm, I shouldn't be doing this. This is unnatural, right?
That's the way I pitched my son, underhand. Okay. But you've also seen softball games where that underhand action is at the light. You say, "Whoa, how is that
nuts?" Like I've been watching all the super regionals and stuff, and like I almost am getting to where I love watching like Cobb softball because the speed of it, it's so fast the cameras can't even catch up with it. Like it's stupid fast. And I remember I watched a video or read this thing about like, is there a limit to how far humans can shot put a shot put? Like what's the limit here? And it's not that there's this biomechanical limit where you can only throw this thing so far, and if you were to add any more torsional force to the body and propel this weight further, it would literally rip everything apart. And that we are at the limit where the tendons cannot sustain this kind of thing. Is that the same thing we're seeing with the pitchers?
Yeah. The other thing to know is that there is a, all matter is in a plastic and elastic state. And what that means is when things happen at high speed, they're much more likely to snap, not stretch.
Right. Yeah.
So think of having like a piece of clay or something that you can like draw out and stretch, goes real slow, it gets longer and longer and longer. Like putty or something, right?
Yeah. Silly putty is the example they always use.
Do it fast and it snaps. When someone was in a high-speed accident, like when this skiing, snow skiing, and they get into an accident, the leg doesn't break, it shatters. I mean, it's not like one crack in the leg. It really shatters in some places. Same thing with auto accidents. You're in a high-speed auto accident. Bones at that speed will tend to shatter. So the speed at which someone is throwing a baseball or softball also has an effect. It's not like they're doing it slowly. The faster they do it, the more they are prone to injury just because of the mechanics of speed.
The lack of elasticity at that speed, the material that the body is made of, if the same amount of force was applied to it slowly and carefully, would allow for that motion. But if it's applied quickly, it snaps, is what you're saying.
Correct. And that's true of virtually all materials.
Yeah, right.
Like your body parts included.
Well, and water is the thing, right? That's easy to explain this with. The difference between if you push into the water, it's easy, it gets out of your way, versus if you slap the surface of the water, it doesn't get out of your way. So, and that's, the water hasn't changed, but the speed at which you're applying the force amount is the same too, but the speed at which you're applying it is shifted.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to visualize it.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we've asked you everything about biomechanics and pitching and how unbaseball pitch counts are and whatever else, we do want to ask where people can get the book, and is there a new update coming for 27, or what's the deal with that?
The book, yeah. So what we're doing is we're looking at the next printing that's coming up. It's going to be the 5th edition coming up. Although they actually just started printing reprints of the 4th edition. So what we're going to do immediately is put an insert into the book with all these rule updates. That actually may be a better approach because the rules seem to be changing and Major League Baseball is not committing. And then, of course, we're going to put these updates on our website too. So 99% of the book is still, 99% of the rules are still intact.
Sure.
It's just there are modifications. Some of the modifications are really slight and sort of like trivial. It's wording of a couple of things. But the fact that ABS is not committed to in the rules of baseball makes me wonder what else they are going to be changing soon. But yeah, so Baseball Field Guide. It is at Amazon or any place else where you can buy books. Look for the 4th edition, 3rd printing of the 4th edition. And it's not that expensive. We have almost 5 stars on Amazon. And sometimes the stars that we don't get is because people can't find it in the book, but we have designed it to make it as easy to find as possible. Make the rules as easy to find as possible, and in plain English. If you ever tried to read the official rules of baseball, it's like reading
a legal document.
Yeah, it's like reading a lease. So that was our opportunity to actually let's illustrate and explain it for novices and experts alike. It's not a book for novices because a lot of experts are also not clear of some of the more complex rules.
I love the illustrations that explain a lot of that stuff. So I refer to it all the time and show people, there you go. You got a copy of it sitting right there. That's what it looks like. There you go.
Field guide. And it's very specifically designed as a field guide. So you can find, it's a great bathroom book because you don't read it cover to cover, right? You can read a couple of pages at a time or 1 page at a time.
All right. Well, look, it is a school night. We're trying to keep this show relatively on time because Tez voted that way. So we're gonna go hit our break and go on with the third half of the show. But one more time, there's a website too, right, where everybody can get the book and get the updates.
Baseballfieldguide.com.
There you go.
Baseballfieldguide.com.
There you go. All right, so go there, get your updates, get the book, get the new edition. Can we pre-order the new printing?
Good question. I need to go on Amazon and see that. I'm not sure. You have really good questions.
Yeah, great questions.
Really good question. The worst host. Should have thought about all this stuff ahead of time. All right,
I should look that up. I know that we're running low on the past editions.
You know, you're super famous as an author when you don't even know if people can like pre-order your book. You're like, yeah, it's probably available.
The book is for sale. You're asking about now the printing schedule.
Yeah, the new printing, because you said there's another printing coming out. So people want to get that one. I don't know.
Don't wait. The books, it's not that expensive. The book's not that expensive.
Okay, just go buy the book. Baseballfieldguide.com. You can get info there. You can go to Amazon, look for the Baseball Field Guide, Google it. You can Google Dan. You can watch all his cool kitchen gadget stuff on the YouTubes and all of that. Do we have any new episodes of that stuff coming out?
No, I'm looking at what to do next because Epicurus, who was at Condé Nast, and Bon Appetit, who were doing those last videos, changed their programming. So I am in talks now to start my own YouTube channel or think of what to do on Instagram. I'm going to start posting short things just so I don't lose my fan base. The Epicurus videos, the series I was hosting got more than 65 million views.
Yeah, Jeez. It's almost as many as we get. So that's it's pretty good. Well, listen, when you do get to that stuff, if you need some sort of comic relief or sort of keep the thing moving co-hosts or anything, we're available. So, consider us, if you will. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
There you go. See,
it never fails.
I never fail. Speaking of which, stay tuned for updates on our quest to go to MicroCon at ChipChatistan because that GoFundMe is coming out soon. I'm almost there. So just be looking for it. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break while I do finish the rest of the GoFundMe stuff. And when we come back, we'll do the third half of the show. Thank you, Dan, for hanging out with us. Yes, we really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, guys. It goes fast as usual. So thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. All right, go to baseballfieldguide.com. Check it out. And you've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps.
Talk soon.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm going to say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like the frogs. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm going to say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping, y'all? Yeah, and whenever we play that godforsaken man, Alex Jones, we always ask you to go to the sandyhookpromise.org and please smash that donate button because, again, that is the same man who believes that murdering little kids was a false flag operation and decided to defame them for years on end. And that's why The Onion owns InfoWars now.
That's right. Yeah, well, it was all the gay frogs, really, that did the...
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so now we've come to the part of the show that's called The Rundown. This is where I tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. If we were real newsmen, it would sound a little something like this.
That's how you feel. I gotta respect it.
What? Wait, what would it
From
sound
Beltway
like?
Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about well, maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jay. Check him out. Channel 4 in Detroit. All right. So the first thing that we need to talk about, this is the war edition of the rundown. So the Iran war is back on now, maybe back off. This is moving by the minute. So just heads up, watch your Twitter feed or whatever it's called now.
Full truth.
Yeah, right. Okay. So earlier this week, in the middle of what is called a ceasefire, the United States shot at Iran a bunch and bombed some things that they said were like, hey, they're about to launch a drone or something, maybe. And then the Iranians shot back and hit Kuwait, but we didn't say that they hit Kuwait, and we didn't say what got hit. But then the Kuwaitis were like, hey, we got hit. And then we're like, oh, yeah, that one. So, and then Trump was like, oh, yeah, we've got a deal, but maybe it's a crummy deal. That was his words. He's like, if it's a crummy deal, I'm not signing it. And then he's like, oh, all the Arab countries have to join the Abraham Accords, and Pakistan, and then he's like, and Turkey and Jordan and Egypt. And Turkey's like, we've recognized Israel since 1949. And Jordan's like, we have a peace treaty. And Egypt's like, we had the first peace treaty. What the fuck are you talking about? So, and then he's like, yeah, Iran can join the Abraham Accords too. And then Bibi was like, are you fucking what? No. So like, then the Israelis were like, oh, we got to make sure this doesn't happen. So they bombed the shit out of Lebanon and invaded even more of it. And then they flattened some more stuff in Gaza. They found like 2 or 3 buildings still standing. So they're like, can't let that happen. And they ran Jose Andres out again. And like this situation is getting, the fuel prices made it so that Jose Andres could feed fewer people in Gaza. Shout out to DC, by the way, because like here we are, World Central Kitchen is like the thing that feeds people in the world now. And hey, Jose Andres, DC guy, just saying, you know, go to Haleo, enjoy some food, Oyamel, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But okay, so like that was what we were going to talk about tonight, right? And the Navy was like, yeah, we shot at stuff. And then now there's pirates. Pirates are back also in Somalia because all of the Navy assets are focused on the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. The pirates are like, hey, nobody's watching, so we're gonna do some Somali pirate stuff again. So that's also happening because this is good. This is how we wanted. This is what people voted for in the ending of the
amount of ammo that we've lost. That's gonna be the one. The munition depletion is gonna be the one that.
You wonder if maybe China was like. Called up Iran and was like, hey, if they start some shit with you, drag it out as long as possible, and here's a big pile of money to do that. Because
and it lets me know that there's no strategy involved at all, right? If you use up, because it feels like we
not let you slander Pete Kegseth like that and say that this frat bro with a history of sexual assault has no strategy, okay? This man is a strategic genius. He gets up in the morning and he plans which bar he's going to start at and which bar he's going to end at based on his flying around in helicopters with Kid Rock schedule, okay? So you take that back.
All right. All right. I'll take that back. You know his favorite drink?
No.
Think about it.
The keg stand? I don't know. What's his favorite drink?
Jaeger bomb.
The Jaeger bomb. Yeah, well, it was the bombs. There was all the bombs. I didn't know which bomb you were going to choose.
Sake bomb.
Sake bomb, yeah. All right, but now here's breaking news from the Washington Post. The United States and Iran have reached a tentative agreement to end their months-long war in the Middle East. Senior officials on both sides said Thursday. Who? We don't know.
The senior officials have said that. I don't think Trump. This I don't know if it's got in front of him.
But it comes with a major caveat that President Donald Trump and his counterparts in Tehran are reviewing it.
Okay, there it is.
U.S. officials acknowledged the framework deal following a night in which the U.S. and Iranian forces exchanged drone and missile fire in the region, highlighting the shaky nature of the ceasefire that was declared in April. It's not a ceasefire. For some reason, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was involved. He told reporters at the White House that the tentative agreement is, quote, multifaceted and awaiting Trump's potential approval. Multifaceted is definitely something that Trump likes to think about.
This is so dumb.
I had a multifaceted once, but then I had to give her back. And yeah, what?
Sick.
Yeah. He has several red lines, Bessent said. He's not going to make a bad deal. Well, he's already done that. Bessent said that, quote, nothing is going to be on the table. I don't know what that means.
But everything's on the table.
Until Iranian officials first agreed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which they're certainly not going to do. What? What? Art of the what? Dude, they have all the leverage. You fucked up. You gave them everything. Why would they ever? What deal could you possibly make with them that they're going to be like, all right, we'll give up our nukes?
Yeah, I mean, the nuke piece, we're not even there yet, let alone we're not going to ever get there. They just need something. They need a framework to run out his presidency. I think it's just a very idiotic war, obviously, on all avenues at this point. And I don't know. The one thing I think you can give them though is sanction relief. I think you could free up some money from them in the sense. And then the question is does that even make sense?
What are they going to do with the money? That's the his idea would be to let them back into some areas of the market, specifically in the global oil market. Okay.
Right?
So
which again, this makes I know. I'm with you. Yes, I know. Yeah.
What? So okay.
I just wish you could have took that deal and said, and just like, hey, you know what? We're gonna fake it. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna say, hey, we got a new deal. Call it the Trump deal, and we just kept everything the same.
Could the rest of the world not have seen that shit coming? When the second he looked at the JCPOA, he was like, I'm gonna kill that thing. And then the world should have been like, whoa, come here, buddy. Let's put your name on this. Let's give you some credit. Can you just not be a fucking megalomaniacal maniac for 5 minutes? He tears up the deal. He puts us in this situation. Biden can't revive it for the time that he's in charge because now the whole world doesn't trust America to honor its treaties, and instantly creates this problem. Now, the administration prior, in between the Trump administrations, is smart enough not to pull the lid off of the can of worms, but Trump is not that smart, and he does it. He does it in spectacular fashion. He bombs them with the Israelis and attacks their nuclear stuff, and then he starts this war. He gets dog walked into this war.
Yeah, there's no.
And now he's stuck. He can't extricate himself. He has no plan. He doesn't even know where most of this stuff is. He had some dumb shit about the Strait of Hormuz will be open, nobody owns it, and Oman better watch themselves. I'm like, Oman, what? Dude, Oman was trying to help you at the beginning of this shit. And then you told them to get fucked, and they got bombed. We are not going to have any allies left. You're forcing the Gulf Arabs to join some Abraham Accords, or you're not going to make a deal with Iran, which doesn't make any sense. They're not going to have anything to do with that. That doesn't have anything to do with them. They're going to be like, you know what? This is too much trouble. These bases that you've got on our soil, they're not making us safer. They're making us get shot at by the Iranians. As a matter of fact, fuck this whole noise. Get your shit, get it out of our country. We don't want any of this stuff. Now you lost your basing rights. You already can't overfly half of Europe. You can't get refueled by the British. You strategically damage the United States in a way that we'll never be able to recover from. And the Chinese are like, oh, okay, cool. Kuwait, that base that you kicked the Americans off of, could we borrow that for a little while?
I can't argue that everything you said is completely plausible at this point. I think the only argument is that there ends up being another administration. And it's a long runway. That's the problem. Like, how much more can be destroyed over the next 2.5 years? But yeah, I mean, I know you don't think there's going to be a midterm, but I think what you hope for is there's a midterm, and you hope that there is a Congress that, again, just tries to check it enough to put some brakes on some of this. Like, and again, they'll flout investigations and they won't turn over stuff, but like, it can't be that what it is currently. And the only way you have that is, like, again, you need to flip that damn house. Because that's going to be the only check.
Look, we had an election. Biden won. He had both houses of Congress. Everything was like, the world looked at it and went, okay, America, we realize that you made a mistake. We realize that you realized you made a mistake. You have corrected for that. And Biden's big thing was, America is back. We're back to who we actually are. We're going to behave ourselves. We're going to do the job on the world stage that people have depended on us to stabilize the global trade system, to stabilize the global security, and do all of those things that have been the situation on the ground in the post-war years. Okay, that's our role. That's our job. And then we, bam, went right back and elected Trump. And so now the rest of the world looks at the Americans and goes, these guys are not consistent. They're not steady. This was never a problem. Nobody looked at like a shift from Bush 1 to Clinton and went, oh God, now the Americans aren't going to do their job to maintain security in the world, or NATO's at risk or anything. They went, okay, we got a different guy we got to call, but like, NATO's still real and they're still going to defend Taiwan or whatever. That is not the case anymore. And I don't care. It could be like 3 or 4 successive consistent administrations that maintain the standard American, hegemony over the world security system in a row. And the rest of the world's still going to be like, yeah, you got 3 of them in a row, but you idiots went back and forth on Trump twice, and we can fucking see you doing that shit again. And we don't trust you. And you get this like 30% of your voters that are always going to choose that shit.
I think that 30% is dwindling, right? I do think that's dwindling based on what these actions that are happening from this administration. That might happen.
They're still there, and this happens every time, right? You get towards the middle or the end of an administration, especially a lame duck one, and people start to sour on it. They don't have any hope anymore, and like everything flips and stuff.
It was
4 years, and they're going to be like, you know what? Actually, it was pretty good under Trump. Don't forget.
No, I know they won't forget this one. They won't forget this one. And
got Afghanistan pull out.
I mean, yeah, but no one is gonna forget $5 gas. Like, no one's gonna forget that.
Okay,
because they've never forgave a president who's ever allowed it to get out of hand like this. They never really forgiven.
Nobody forgave Jimmy Carter, even though it wasn't his fault. Right?
It wasn't his fault, right? So no one forgives presidents for that. I think what you'll end up seeing though, and maybe this works out in a weird way, right? Post-war era, we've been the world's police, right? And I think it does need to get to a stabilization, but there is some type of populism that's happening in this country, right? And I think there is a desire for there to be more focus domestically in what Americans need, right? I think there's a winning voting strategy around that. And you got to be careful with the populism, right? Because Trump rode in on the populism and then he doesn't even do it, right? Like this time, right? He everything was like, he still hasn't brought the egg prices, like, right?
Yeah.
The prices, like, that's why he was elected.
Okay, but if you want to be like populist and pro-domestic things, you should be able to make the case that being in the World Health Organization is pro-domestic.
That's stabilization, and I think eventually we will have an administration that brings us back to stabilization. But maybe there is a focus back into the things that like need to happen in this country. And and again, the framework I think is still there, right? I think the infrastructure bills that pass under Biden, like those things, there's a way to unjam some of that, right? Like, I know the money's out there, but there's a way to make that more efficient. And like the question I have is always going to be, right? And who do we pick? Let's just start going down the line. if a Gavin Newsom wins, right?
Sure,
right?
pick a name. It doesn't matter.
Cory Booker,
Yeah.
I who else? I don't think people that they've soured on her, but Kamala Harris, like any of these individuals who would take on that, there is rebuilding that needs to happen.
Gretchen Whitmer.
Like I think if you put any of these people in there, like it's like I could start naming off some. I could name off some Republicans that probably could do better governance than this.
Yeah,
right?
but that I don't think that party can be considered a reasonable participant in
not
American
that party. But I think there's the conservative voice that does not. That is that is going to break off from that. Like there's going to be fractures.
There will be a Jeff Flake party at some point. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. There has to be that at this point. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe in a weird. One only thing I can hope from all of this is in a weird way that maybe this pushes us to the brink again. Like we always have to get pushed to the brink in this country. That then we start to like refine what this democracy looks, a small d democracy ends up looking like, and whether those are questions around like, and you're hearing it, like people feel different about how we tax people. Like there are folks are talking things that you would never hear politicians say. The things that I say, the reason why I can't run, where I'm like, well,
right,
clearly we have to raise the taxes. Like,
and you're starting to hear a consistent voice of that on the progressive side, even a little bit on the conservative side of like, hey, things aren't fair for the working class.
Yeah, and I think that's a winning message. And then like ideally what you need a weird ass coalition of folks, again, not this Trump coalition, but like that same folks that got him elected, they have to move. Someone has to come up with a persuasive message for them to believe in, to then like, hey, let's bring this back to like actual good governance. We need to make changes, right? Some of this stuff we all can agree on, like a slush fund, which we'll get to later. Like no one agrees with that, right? Like there are things that people agree on in this country on. There are some basic things that I think we agree with.
So there was an article in the paper this week that talked about the poll numbers and how Trump is losing ground with the white working class. And one of the quotes of the people that they interviewed in that story stuck with me about something that she said, which was that when she was younger, and she's not a real politics person, not into that kind of stuff at all, but she grew up poor, and the only thing she knew is that Republicans were for rich people and they weren't. And so that was all they needed to know. And you could see if the culture stuff wasn't a part of the conversation, we could somehow get that to be like, everybody just fucking pause on that for a little while. Like, then you could really see, because everybody's talking about, well, it's not really a left and right, it's a top and bottom fight.
Yes.
And you could see a reframing of the parties as one is for the bottom 3/4, that's the Democrats, and one is for the top 1%, which is the Republicans who want no rules, no taxes, no any of that stuff. Maybe you see that.
Look how, I mean, and granted, and hopefully we're never under something as long as what like Viktor Orban's rule, right? But I think if we look at that, right, and I'm blanking on who beat him. I'm blanking on the guy's name who beat him.
Peter Magyar,
yeah. Magyar ran. He didn't have any policy, yo. He said,
he just ran against
anti-corruption. It was, yeah.
But so did Orban. That's what Orban ran on in the beginning.
Yes, yeah. But those people, and he was able to figure out specifically in the rural areas, right? And no one thought that could happen. Nobody thought that could happen. But eventually, people see these things, right? And they realize, oh, my life. And again, to your point, right? We've seen many election cycles that folks have not been able to see the light, for lack of a better term, right? Whether it's 2016, right? Whether it's 2024, right? But I think now more than ever, like the ballrooms, foreign wars, given like these slush funds, the primaries he's running against candidates that will most likely lose to Democrats, right? Like,
Yeah, and the Epstein stuff and all of these other things, you know,
because when we have an Epstein class is what you're starting to hear a lot about. Is like this Epstein class, and people are against that. Is a larger thing than fucking discuss those who are pedophiles, right? That is something larger, right? You might have never engaged in any of those acts, but could still fall into that Epstein class. And I think I think the populace in this country is picking up on that. And like, and the only scary thing is like, because whenever you get to these, like, there will be someone who tries to unite the classes, and we know what happens when that happens. Like, that just classes equals assassination. Like, it's just kind of.
It can be that, but it can also turn into some sort of weird anti-Semitism, right? You can see how a discussion of an Epstein class turns into an anti-Semitic problem. There's already some co-opting of the right-wing anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant stuff being glommed onto women as if women are the problem and stuff. So you can see some of that happening. I don't know. I mean, it's all risky business when you get into it. But the issue here as it pertains to Iran, the issue as it pertains to where we go from here in that part of the world and in terms of our security is from the electoral perspective. Is there a thing that America could do as a voting bloc, as a democracy, that could get the rest of the world to go back to looking at us and trusting us the way they have done since Eisenhower? And I don't think that there is. And I don't really want to know what a world looks like where China is as equal a part of the guarantor of security as the United States. I don't think that's a good, safe place to be in. And I don't know how we fix that, because we have burned the trust of the rest of the world in a very profound way. And it is all centered around Trump's behavior. And in this case, it's about Iran. But you could point out like our lack of response in the Ebola crisis right now. You know, that people look to the United States for help on that. It's not there. Okay. You look to the United States for help in all these other disasters. It's not there. You look at the death of PEPFAR and your
risk is valid.
I don't know how we get that back.
Simple. You start with the midterms. You get You get the key.
He said okay.
The key thing here
he was so mad when you said that, but it's so true.
Thanks, Brian.
You
rebuild it. You get Eisenhower back, and you start rebuilding. America is here to guarantee the markets work and blah blah blah.
We're not doing rebuilding like that. What I'm saying is to regain the trust is pretty much is kind of do what South Korea did. Get rid of this dude. That is it. The rest of the world will be happy enough to say, get this guy out, put him in jail, and lock that key, and just lock the gate and never bring him back out.
You think they won't look at that and say, all right, we trust you now for a little while, but we know that you'll reelect him.
But from that point on, this again, it will be a rebuilding process again. Unfortunately, I mean, Biden pretty much had to do his entire presidency is that for only term to pretty much fix what Trump did. Yeah, and that's what you got to do again. It's unfortunate.
Doing that for 100 years,
and you're not. Well, yeah, and I think of things right, even like as I think of like the Voting Rights Act, right, and everybody's thinking about like what can we do, what can we do? No. What only thing we can do is start the work right now for a 20-year plan to fix this shit. Like that is like. It's not like, unfortunately, it's not going to be.
Do you think that the American people have the attention span and the patience and the dedication to achieve those kinds of things?
We jokingly keep saying that. We jokingly keep saying that if they have the attention span. Yes, because they're so attentive and pissed off right now. They are attentive of what's going on.
Things get marginally better. People stop being pissed off. We see it. We saw it already happen. They were so pissed off at the end of Trump 1. So pissed off. Biden
Because
wins.
again,
But they were
for
still
whatever,
pissed off with Biden because he couldn't move fast enough to change some of those things.
Right.
That's what
And
I'm saying.
COVID
It
is
doesn't go
crazy.
fast enough. They get disaffected and they go, fuck it, this didn't work either. Fuck this noise. And they all just do all kinds of
again,
look, the consensus that existed as an American population, the consensus that existed post-war was in part artificial because certain people weren't participating and weren't allowed to participate. But the consensus that existed then was a direct echo of a massive nationwide trauma. There had been a nationwide trauma. We had been bombed at Pearl Harbor. We had then lost untold thousands and thousands of soldiers and sailors fighting in a world war that was an obvious answer of good versus evil. There was no equivocation about that. And we had emerged victorious. And we didn't know the damage that had been done because there wasn't television. There wasn't real reporting. The horrors of war weren't accounted for. There was this glorious shine on this. America responded to the attack on Pearl Harbor by beating everybody and setting up a new world order. And we walked around with that halo over us for 50 years. And then it starts to crack a little bit. And now we're in this place where the people's attention span it's self-centered. There's no collective American spirit or whatever you want to call it anymore. Everybody's out
the collective the collective enemy is us now. And I always say
that's
this.
the problem.
The end of the Cold War is really what gets us.
We need the goddamn Soviets back.
Well, then, all right. At that point, then China will attack Taiwan, and then we'll go into that type of war. World War III will erupt.
Great. So we need to have another world war to put America back on top.
It kind of seemed. I mean, I hate to be like this, which sounds crazy. Like it seems to be after these crazy wars is when, and hopefully it doesn't get to that. I'm not advocating for that.
I think the other, and we're going to come riding into the rescue, and then
the other thing. You
think we win that war? I don't even think we win that war.
At this point, no, I don't know. I don't think we're
out of ammo.
Out of ammo. Not right now, but we can rebuild that. I think the other problem, right, of what's going to assist in rebuilding this is you need to have another functional party system here. Like you need, and it might not. I do think that what we think of the Republican Party is gone, right? That's done. But
you
something
need a legitimate
else
center right party
has to be, and maybe you need four, right? Maybe you need again, and I'm not saying let there be if there's because the extreme right isn't going anywhere. That will always be there because
it's the Germany model.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like you have a far right and a far left, and then you have these two sort of center left, center rights that often have to unite in coalition with each other to keep the fringes at bay.
And you need people who will have some courage, and they need to have courage from the beginning, not when they become lame duck.
I saw Bobby pick up those snakes. He's got courage, man. That's what you got to do, man. You need courage. Come here, snakes. Snatch that shit up.
Damn racist snake. I mean, racer snake.
All right, let's talk about the slush fund for a second. This is the Tez talk. I know this has you all fucking pissed off. I'm going to lay the groundwork to explain it, and then you're going to go on to how people might be seeing this. So basically, here's what happened. Trump and his family, as a private citizen, sued the federal government and the IRS for a leak of his tax returns from back in the first Trump administration.
Which is illegal.
Where he was in charge then too.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it gets into court and the judge asks an important question. Hey, you're on both sides of the verses in this case. Is there enough of an adversarial difference between these two groups, one suing the other? And the Trump people go, you know what? You're right. Never mind. We withdraw, settle. And so then the IRS, which Trump runs, settles with Trump himself as a citizen and uses this thing that there's this pile of money that is set aside, appropriated to be used by the federal government to basically pay for when they have made an error or harmed somebody and lose a lawsuit, right? Sometimes the government loses a lawsuit, they got to pay. Well, if you had to wait for Congress to appropriate the money every time you did that, it could get stuck.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
It'd be crazy. And so to get around that, Congress appropriated like this ability of the judicial branch or the federal government when it loses a lawsuit or it enters into a settlement, to just basically hand out this money without Congress having to appropriate it individually. There's a pot from which they can draw from. So Trump's IRS settles with Trump personally and says, we will make this right by paying this money out of the appropriated pot for you to use as you see fit. But not for him personally, for a committee that he sets up to do whatever it feels is necessary to fight what they called, quote, weaponization of the judicial system. And those people are accountable to Trump and Trump only. And there's no court oversight because they withdrew the case. The court doesn't have to oversee the settlement. Congress doesn't have a role in this because the money has already been allocated, and so that they don't have to appropriate any new money, and that's what happened. Okay, so what is and it's stupidly $1.776 billion because he wants to get that number in there. Okay, so it's $1.8 billion, $2 billion. How is this playing in Peoria?
The other piece of this that I don't know if it was mentioned in this, and maybe I just missed it there, was that going forward, right, anything else that they might find or any audits that are done, in the sense he basically can't be held accountable for or something like that.
Yes, there was an addendum after they released the settlement. Then Todd Blanche came out and said, oh, by the way, here's some additional parts of this, which says that you can never investigate this, and all the future administrations can't investigate this ever again, ever, which of course wouldn't hold in a new administration because there isn't any force of law behind this. But it just sort of added some icing onto the stupid cake.
Yeah, this has angered Republicans, right? Let's start there. Like
Ted Cruz is pissed.
Right? And I think, especially for individuals who were there that day, right? Because giving money to, again, folks who were duly like convicted of crimes of January 6th, right? To do that, like, it kind of spits in the face of, right, I mean, everything, like all the rhetoric, right? Like it spits in the face of the rhetoric. And I don't know if everybody believes in the rhetoric, but I think for folks who are struggling to pay their bills, right? And if we also look, and I'm not every one of them, but like a decent amount of people who are able to go into January 6th, there's like a decent number of affluent as well. Like it was, I think the numbers.
But some of them can't pay their bills now because they all got fired.
Because they got fired from their job. But yeah. So, but I mean, that's not my problem, and that's definitely not like our problem, right? Because we're paying this, right, as federal taxpayers, right? These are the things that
why you're talking about the January 6th people.
Oh, well, because specifically, this fund, they are able to apply for this, right? Well, right?
Well, we don't know because it hasn't actually been set up. But Trump has talked about using it to pay reparations. That's the word they're using, to the people who he says were wrongfully convicted for peacefully protesting on January 6th. And that is the question that keeps getting put to the senators and the congressmen. Do you think it's right for people who assaulted cops at the Capitol on January 6th to receive money and compensation for that? And they are having a hard time. They're twisting themselves in knots because they don't want to cross Trump, but they're not keen on this.
Yeah, Mike Flood. Well. Yeah, I mean, Mike Flood, right, in the article that we cite for this here, like he has the quote that the fund should just not be used for rioters, right? Like it starts with, right? Like, and it's plain and simple, right? And a quote from here: I've never approved that. I do not think that one penny of any fund should ever go to any January 6th insurrectionist that was in the Capitol. And quote, Flood said Tuesday to applause from the audience, right? So like, the audience is like, yeah, that makes sense, right? To quote him, I want to be very clear. I do not think we should be creating a fund for people that commit physical violence against law enforcement, right? Why is that even what's being said in the town hall? I'm pretty sure there's
why do you have to defend that? It's because that's what Trump is saying he's going to do with the money. That's exactly why.
And I mean, I would believe that. And what would stop him? He has full control, even with that little commission or whatever they're setting up for that. Yeah, who could stop him from directing that money to wherever the hell he wants
This
to?
is exactly what we've talked about. Is that he's pardoned these guys. They've already willfully committed violence on his behalf, and they're loyal to him and him alone. Now he's got a salary for them. He can pay them. He's got a pardoned, paid, violent militia at his disposal to be used whenever and wherever he wants to in this country. And that's how Mussolini got in charge. That's how Hitler got in charge. That's how Pinochet got in charge. These things are all like the same fucking move, man. Same fucking move.
That's fine. I just think I think the public in a lot of those specific situations were more behind those leaders and more behind their ideology of whatever, like at that point, right? Like, are there a group of people in this country who feel like there are too many immigrants, right? And that being ideology? Yes. I don't think there's a huge group of them that says we should go round them up inside of cages, right? I don't think there is a huge population of folks who believe that.
But what Trump needs is acts of violence for him to then declare some sort of emergency and martial law. And now he can pay your cousin Enrique to go commit those acts of violence and protect him from any state penalties or whatever.
No one's taking the bait on that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think no one's taking the bait on that. Yeah,
the fund doesn't exist yet. It hasn't been fully established and stuff. And there's a bit of fight in court. And maybe there's two of the cops that got beat up on January 6th are suing. So we'll see where that goes. But
isn't one running for
whether
Congress?
They have standing?
I feel like
Congress
I saw,
isn't going to sue.
Congress I said isn't one of the people in the Capitol Police running for Congress?
Harry Dunn ran for Congress and he lost in a primary here.
He lost. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, Congress has a role here, right?
Yes.
They could sue and say that, hey, Article 1 says we're the only ones who can appropriate money here, and they would have standing to do that. The question is, would they? Obviously, Mike Johnson wouldn't. But
and then is there a weird thing if it goes to the Supreme Court around like agencies having too much discretion over thing, right? Because wasn't that the larger question, right? With the Supreme Court asking, like, all right, these agencies are allowed to just do these. Like the court has seemed to say, like, oh no, we believe Congress or the court should make these decisions, right? I mean, in this case, the agency is the IRS.
Yeah, Chevron deference. There was a question about whether agencies can create regulations outside of what's been specifically enumerated by Congress. And then there was also the question of whether agencies have like the judicial authority to impose penalties without express authorization. And yeah, I mean, you are somehow hitting on this problem that the right wing of America is at odds with the right wing of America. It is always that thing where it's, oh, this is okay this way, but it's not okay that way. I don't know. This does seem to be one of the things that is a bridge too far for a lot of people. And this really reads as like, you're taking $2 billion of our dollars to do what with it?
And line them up, right? What I seen earlier today before we got on, what, like, who was the company that he just invented? Dell, right? I think Dell
So he insider traded with Dell, right? He knew that the Defense Department was about to give Dell the giant contract, and so he bought a bunch of Dell stock. He's been doing this. He traded 3,700 stocks in the course of 3 months. It's been an absolute, and it's open corruption. They're not even hiding it. So that is also something that seems like a bit of a bridge too far for some people. It's adding up, but it's why does it have to be this many things? That's the question.
I mean, because at this point, he knows he's a lame duck president. I don't think he gives a damn about who. I actually personally don't think he cares who the next Republican
no, I don't
nominee
think he does
is.
either.
I don't.
But what I'm saying is, why for the people are these the things that like? It's because they had to break the cult, right? But the cult is the fever is beginning to break in a few places. There is something there. I don't know.
It's money. That's why.
Well, here's another bit of this, right? So we're talking about the YOLO caucus. Now, do you know what the YOLO caucus is?
I assume these are the people who are about to get ousted, and now they just don't give a damn.
That's right. They're you only lose once.
Oh, you only lose once. Okay, there we go.
Right. So Massey got primaried. He's got nothing to worry about. He's going to go read those fucking Epstein names. He doesn't give a shit. He already didn't give a shit, but he's there, right? Bill Cassidy in Louisiana doesn't give a shit. He's in the YOLO. Tom Tillis, North Carolina, already announced he was retiring because he knew he would lose in a primary race. And now Cornyn just got beat by Kenny Paxton. So we're looking at, and we're talking about margins here. Margins. There's a 53 to 47 in the Senate. So if Cornyn and Tillis and Cassidy, go the other way, now you're 50-50. Now you got Murkowski and Collins. Now you're 52 against to 48-4, and maybe 49 if Fetterman's going to just become a fucking Trump guy or whatever.
What for that? We need to do a whole show on him.
Who fucking knows about that guy? Okay, but that's the case.
I blame the stroke, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, he might have been stupid and crazy before then too. In the House, you're down to these margins too, right? On a given day, Johnson is governing with one or two. He's really functionally one or two. And part of that is, and this is where, remember we said about Tom Keene? Yeah. Tom Keene's in New Jersey. Okay. He's in New Jersey, and rumor is that he's sick or something like that. That's why he hasn't been seen. But his colleagues aren't talking about, oh, he's sick and we need to help him. What they're doing is pretending that this isn't happening, because if Keene dies or is out, then Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic governor of New Jersey, would get to appoint somebody to replace him, and that shifts the margin. And these guys care more about their margin in Congress than they do about their colleague and friend, which says a lot. But we're down to that thing. So Massey going balls out. It could flip some stuff. He's got Boebert kind of coming along with him, right? Because she was campaigning with him on the Epstein stuff. And Trump's like, fuck it, I'm going after her too. MTG is already out. She's gone. But we're talking on the march. We're really talking about a handful of people can flip this stuff. And that YOLO caucus is taking any and all takers. You want to join? Come on in, man. You're going to get burned anyway. You may as well have some fucking fun while you do it. Pay attention to that. Show, we often don't get to say that, but there's something there. Be watching. Down in Alabama. Good.
No, I'm just saying, it just makes the end of this year very interesting around anything they're trying to get across the line, because it's over with after this year.
And if the election does happen in November and there is a flip, and that flip doesn't get sworn in until January, you can imagine.
I'm thinking more like March.
Closed.
Well, I think it doesn't get sworn into March, because this is going to go to the courts, and there's going to be
but it goes after the election. It doesn't immediately happen. So Johnson will have to keep Congress closed until that point, because there will be so many people who have already lost and don't give a shit anymore and want to save some sort of a career or reputation for their future and family, that they are going to start doing stuff. So the lame duck Congress is a problem for Republicans too. Pay attention. There's something here. Okay. There's something here. And the Epstein stuff really is going to matter. If Massey really does go to the floor and start naming names, shit is going to hit the fan. You better be ready for that. Okay? Heads up. Down in Alabama, they tried to redo their voting districts again after the Supreme Court said that black people can't vote anymore. And then so they redrew they went back to the line that got struck down in 2023. The court was like, hey, you guys already said that you did this because you're being racist. And Alabama was like, what? No, we didn't. They're like, yeah, you did. You wrote in this email. You're like, fuck these black guys. We don't want to let them vote anymore. And they were like, oh, yeah, we did write that, didn't we? And they're like, we shouldn't have let Cletus have an email. But so Cletus fucked them over. And the court was like, nah, you still can't do this one. Okay, so it saved one district. But that's probably going to get appealed up to the Supreme Court. Yeah. There's an incredible quote from Governor Kay Ivey, where she said that something like only Alabamians know what Alabamians need, or something. We know our state better than others, and we can't let the courts tell us what we should be doing. What does that mean? When
States' rights.
Yeah, states' rights to do what exactly? Governor Ivy.
Yeah.
What did you want to do, Governor Ivy? Say it. You can say it. It's okay. We already got the tapes. We already have the emails. We know what you're saying. Why are you saying this? Why are you saying this? Just tell us. Also, Tommy Tuberville lives in Florida. And finally, the Nigerian prince scam that we've all been living under. Turns out there is a Nigerian email prince scam of some kind happening in where, Brian?
One of my favorite countries, Thailand.
Yes. Land of the spicy food and
spicy women.
And spicy women, apparently. Okay, so what's going on in Thailand here? Are the Nigerians doing the ladyboy emails? What's happening?
Yeah, so pretty much based off of the story, they set up this is kind of up in Tez's territory. So they set up an AI server.
Let's clarify.
Yeah, let's clarify. What do you mean by that, Brian?
So pretty much they were trying to do, again, the typical classic Nigerian scam, but they use AI for their benefit. And pretty much, again, it was in connection to prostitution and stuff like that. It got, the Thai police got aware of it, and they made a huge bust and collected like 6 Nigerians. Weird term.
But it's interesting who they were.
Right, I was gonna say prostitution scandal made a huge bust.
Yes.
Okay, but who? Yeah, it's funny. Who were the Nigerians scamming?
Hold on, let me show. Yeah, I'm usually on the chill part and get ready to go, stuff like that. So
okay,
anyway,
well, I read it, and they were scamming Thai women.
Yeah, Thai women.
So they were pretending to be Western professionals like pilots, military officers, American military officers, doctors, and engineers, and targeting older Thai women and trying to get them to fall in love and then send them money for a bunch of other dumb stuff like needing visas or helping. I don't know. What did they say that they needed? I don't know. The same stuff they always do. Like, oh no, I just need a little money to set up the time for me to come visit you and get a plane ticket.
Get out of that bed.
Yeah.
This happens so much. I once had a woman come to me after I was doing a workshop on like computers, and she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" And she was like going through the story. She's like, "So I've been talking to this guy online." And I was like, "Oh no,
nope."
And then she keeps going down, and she's like, he's supposed to be a vice president for BP. Yes, that BP, British Petroleum, right?
Yeah, sure.
And she's like, I've sent him some money. I was like, oh my God. So I'm trying like, all right, well, how do I do this to like teach something and like just like some general, like, I don't know, digital literacy. And I was like, all right, well, if he's a real person and he works for British Petroleum and he's a vice president, we should be able to find him on one of these pages. Like they're vice presidents, right? They're right. Available, but they usually have headshots and a little bio. And we went on and we did some looking, and then it took about 5 minutes and it clicked. And she was like, "I've been scammed." And I was like, "Yeah, you have been scammed." So yeah, this happens a lot. They prey on people. It's not nice.
And it's always the same move though. I'm wondering like what's the success rate? Obviously there's enough of it, but who's falling for this? Oh, I met somebody online and here's all these great things about them. Especially with AI and the ability to like sift your data and find out exactly what you're into.
Exactly,
can you imagine like I come on this show and be like, guys, I just met this awesome best friend of us. He's perfect. We got to get him on the show. You're gonna love him. Turns out he is a Gunners, Everton, Orioles, Ravens, Redskins fan, and he loves everything about like dad jokes and everything. I'm like, you're gonna be like, oh, that's fake. That's a made up. That somebody Googled or AI'd the show and just pulled what they took from that. Like, who's falling for that? What are we doing here, guys?
A lot of people are falling for this, and it's gonna get worse because
why are they? How do we fix that?
Regulation, Congress.
Regulation.
Yeah.
It's the internet. They're gonna do whatever the fuck they want. You go to
Doesn't have
North
to be
Korea.
that way.
How do you
Doesn't have
stop
to
it
be
from
that way.
happening?
There are like the government can pass laws. I know that doesn't happen anymore, but they can pass laws.
People can get around that, especially with the internet.
Doesn't mean you don't try. Oh God.
Breaking news.
Yes, breaking news. Well, pretty much this was
Did OKC win?
No.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
wow.
not what the breaking news is. Okay.
all right.
Yeah, breaking news. But no, this is relating to politics, and this was
Okay.
probably happened about yesterday, pretty much 4 hours ago. Martina McBride is now claiming that she is removing herself from the
she's
Great
out
American
too.
State Fair. Yes. So we had the Time, Morris Day and the Time drop out, Young MC, because if anyone has seen the Instagram post or whatever, there was a lot of notable, classic stars that were supposed to be at this Great American Fair thing. And everyone say, hell no, we ain't involved in this. So
I don't think that the Trump people actually secured a lot of this stuff, but like the list was pretty bad. It's Milli Vanilli, Vanilla Ice,
Yep.
Young MC.
Oh, you only had Millie. I don't know where the Billy came from.
Yeah, there was one that was right. There was the one guy who isn't actually in CNC Music Factory pretending to be CNC Music Factory.
Mm-hmm.
And then Morris Day and the motherfucking Time were like, nah, man, this is not cool. We did not sign up for this. So good.
Sure
Martina
Kid Rock's
McBride's out
available.
too.
Yeah,
that's funny. So who is going to perform? Are they going to have to get Kid Rock back?
Well,
Kid Rock, clearly.
Kid Rock. So
yeah, Kid Rock and Vanilla
Ice yet. So knowing him,
that's an incredible show. I can't wait to go to see Kid Rock and Vanilla Ice. Also, Santa Ana did win, so now we've got a game 7. Watch these teams make themselves very, very tired for when the Knicks.
The Knicks might run. I think the Knicks might really 5 games and surprise everybody.
They're gonna fuck them up.
I'm telling you, no one believes that. I just think these two teams they're getting banged up. They're going 7 games, and this will be the one time where and the Knicks look like a juggernaut. I know they say they haven't played anybody.
I want to see the SGA Brunson matchup and shit, but that is going to be fucking epic. That is going to be something else. Yeah. Look, this is what you want, right? This is the kind of finals. Yeah, it's great. Okay, well, good. So Brian's off with the Thai lady boys and the Nigerians. Tez is getting paid from his January 6th involvement when he and his cousin Enrique attacked everybody, and he's a champion. Bask in your glory. Be so happy. Be proud. Are you wearing your Sega Dreamcast one tomorrow?
I know, right? No, I'm getting deep into the closet. I need a.
That's a deep one.
Yes.
Yellow. Put on the yellow.
I need a Sega one. Actually, is what I need.
You had? I thought you have it. One of the.
I have a Dreamcast one. I need the yellow Sega. I need that's the one I need.
Yeah, that's a deep one. That was back when they actually did win in 04.
Which is crazy because obviously during that time I wasn't deep into Arsenal, but I always remember seeing it as I must have been at that point maybe 10 or 11, and I was like, wow, that's a jersey with Sega on it. That's so fucking cool. And yeah, look at us now. Look at me.
Good for you. All right. Well, I still have all kinds of new Michigan gear I haven't even worn yet. It's still trickling in, so I'm feeling the love too. It's good. We get to both be champions. Brian will get to be a champion of something someday, maybe one day. That'll be cool.
Ravens, baby.
Nope. Don't encourage that. All right. We want to say thanks to Dan Formosa for coming back and being so kind to return even after I had to cancel on him a few weeks ago. Go get his book, baseballfieldguide.com. You can get all the information there. Thanks to our radio partners, RCA, VHS, and Kodak. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. Maybe, don't know, haven't checked. And thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway and Rip Radio, which I believe there's a big announcement coming up. So stay tuned to Rip Radio's socials for making us sound as smooth as a snake biting RFK Jr. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials there, Tez?
Before that, I will give you Shakespeare on Sex, How Will's Love Life Shaped the Plays and Liberated the World. You can find me on Blue Sky at DC Cortez.
hanging out with Hamlet. All right, you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat, and you can find me on the Blue Sky at Chef Chip, my old Twitter handle, if you're still following along. And you can, of course, find us every Thursday night at 9:30 here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm Chip. That's Tez. Brian somewhere in the background. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and Beyond.
When Mary Calls, Surprising Encounters with the Mother of God by Margarita Mooney Clayton.
No.
Swips.
Radio. We got so much, so give you the news in case you didn't know. Keep the public well informed of the topic. Sometimes the news today is hard to process. That's why Chip and Tez will help you out, let you know what we're all about. We may tell jokes, we may drink